Nah.
It's
All right.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. Okay. Yeah. No, I mean it chops a little bit up the photo, but yeah, you got the fanciest background of anyone ever done yet.
Cool, bro. I'm just gonna have to look down on the camera a little bit. But yeah,
Dude,
man.
yeah, you don't fucking look like you don't look like you aged a goddamn day. Fucking 25 years ago was the last time I saw you. That old saying, black don't crack, right?
It's funny, man. I don't know, man. You know, I just I drink, water every day, I guess.
So, so do I. It ain't working. My hair's dude. I'm 15 years younger. Well, I'm 41. My hair's fucking falling out. Well, you saw that clean ass photo I sent you, right?
Yeah, bro. That was so fresh because I mean, I was back in like 2001, 2002. I think that was like the Demi
Mm-hmm.
Border tour or something like that. Because
Yeah, that's
with
the that I'm gonna use that as my thumbnail, and the kid in the Christian shirt, that's me. But it's funny, dude. You look like pretty much the same then, and me. I look like a completely different human being.
oh man, time flies, bro. Just every day, man. Just you just got to keep pushing forward, man. And just like life's gonna throw you a curve, a bunch of curveballs, man. So you just got to be able to, you know, just go with the flow, man.
Well, seems like life's been treating you very good.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, there's times, man, where I'm just like, man, I wish I was on tour. Um, I think that a lot, but you know, when when you have a daughter, you got to take responsibility and make sure she's taken care of first. So uh,
How's your daughter?
she's 11. She just turned 11, and yeah. So she's
Yeah,
a little,
you started late then, dude.
yeah, way way late, man. I
Well, dude,
mean,
that's the way. In my opinion, that's the way to go.
yeah, I mean, but
Well, just
yeah,
think about it, dude. Think about this. Think about it this way, Antar. Like, because if you started early, like in your 20s and shit, you probably wouldn't have been able to tour a Diabolic and crap. Like all that stuff that you can do and you want to do when you're young. Yeah, even let's say you can't do when you're old, like you have to do it when you're young. But if you're tied down with kids, then you can't. So it's kind of like do it then, and then when you're gonna like they call it settling down, right? Well, settle down when you're old, not when you're young and wild. You got to sow your oats. That's the way I see it.
yeah. That was a big deal. I made sure I wasn't having any kids because I was like, how am I can't afford a kid, and
Yeah.
I will never be able to leave the house. And I already knew, like because I mean, just when you're growing up, you can see your parents, struggling and going through what they're going through and shit. And so it's just like,
Hmm.
I don't want my kid to have to go through that. I want my kid
Correct.
to have a better life for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, I do that because I don't have any kids of my own. I just have a stepson. Like he's 16 now, but because my wife had him in a previous marriage, so he's been in my life since he was like 3. But part of the reason I didn't is because like I got with my current wife. I was 28 when I met her, and I said even before that, I was like, I'll never have kids before the age of 30, dude. If I was president, man, if I ran things, I'd make it law. You can't have a kid before the age of 30. And the reason being is I think it's a little unfair to the kid because just from even a financial standpoint, it's like you probably aren't financially stable yet to take care of them. And I set that rule for myself. I was like, I refuse. If I ever have kids, I was like, I will not do it one day before the age of 30 years old.
Yeah, that was pushed back big time. I made sure that was not a priority in any way, shape, or form. I think just like playing shows was just like, trying to play shows, getting a record deal, you know what I mean? Back then.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, I was just like, I just I wanted to play, write records, and I wanted to tour, because when you travel, you learn more. You're more you're well versed. And I think that like when you travel more, you get to meet more different people, more cultures, different neighborhoods. It's just like it's a pretty big world out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you can learn from that. I think that that's really important. Um,
Would you say you learned the most and you saw the most? Because that's where I first saw you guys. It was, I believe, 2000 then, where you played with Cannibal. Was it with Cannibal, Hate Eternal, and God Throne? I believe the tour was?
right.
And Diabolic. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so that's where I first, should I want to say, I first heard you, and then I bought from there, then that's probably when the second time when I saw you, because it was '01. There I bought the City of the, well, that's a repress. I bought City of the Dead, this CD, and the Supreme Evil. And both of these the following year, and actually you're the one that wrote the year. You wrote 2001 Aantar signed.
Oh wow, that's
And
fucking
then
cool.
this one's in silver. All you guys.
Oh wow, check that out. That's
So that was
yeah.
you got, but you're the one that wrote the year 2001. So because at the time, that's when I heard you guys was from that tour. It's funny because that's the first time I met George as well, Corpsegrinder, and he's wearing and the photo I have with him. Because I my picture with him, he's wearing the Diabolic Supreme Evil shirts. So that's how had it been when I heard of you guys and saw you guys and was introduced to you and bought your shit and then been following you ever since. But that whole tour, you obviously did a U.S. tour. Did you guys do that European tour with them? And would you say that was the biggest breaking point for you and because you're in several bands and we'll get to that, but was that the biggest opportunity for you today, would you say?
Okay, so you gotta remember it's between that and Demogorgon, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They were all sold out theaters, and big, big clubs, So um I would say, it's hard to say, man, because Demi Borger we're packing the house too.
That was '03 on the Puritanical Euphoric Misanthrope tour, right?
Right.
That was probably the last time I saw you then, dude. And that's why honestly the photo that I sent you, it's probably from that.
Yeah.
So 23 years ago, that was the last time I saw you in person. Because, dude, we've actually met. We didn't meet once or twice because you guys played Peabody's and shit. We've met and talked, like, not just hello, like, we talked for a good 10, 15 minutes, at least 3 times. And I think it was the last time I saw you, you handed me the CDR. You're like, hey, dude, I'm doing a new project. It's called Unholy Ghost. And it was a demo CDR, and you just gave me one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, man. That that was just like the wow, that's weird that I had so
Yeah, it
I,
does. It's just
I
in a
saw
paper
you and I
sleeve. Just in
gave
a
you
paper
Unholy
sleeve.
Ghost. That's kind of weird. I don't know how I saw you and I gave you the Unholy
we
Ghost.
were we were all just it was at a Peabody show. Me and my brothers and you. I think one or maybe Paul was back there. We're just
Uh,
sitting in the backstage on the couch. I think you were with some chick. I don't know if it was your girlfriend or one of those roadies. I don't know. But you were just sitting. We were just hanging out talking, and we are chatting. You're like, actually, dude, you got to check out my new project. And it was in a white paper sleeve, and it just has a printed on the disc only. There's no cover, nothing. It's to be called Unholy Ghost, and you gave me one.
cool, man. I think it was a demo. If you still have that, that might
Yeah,
have
yeah, it
been.
is. It's like 3 or 4 song demo. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even have that. I mean, those were just like we pressed those off our computer,
yeah.
just individually, and just handed them out, made the did everything on a printer, on a desktop printer, and the yeah, Unholy Ghost was pretty cool too because I mean, it just brought together two elements, two band names I've always wanted to use. Diabolic always wanted to use that name. Um, and once I got to you, that was great. And then, the transition to Unholy Ghost was it was natural, you know what I mean? It wasn't really hard to do because I still had the same team. You know what I'm saying? I still have
Well,
Paul.
dude, I've been curious about that for a while, and I don't know how much. I almost feel like that there's maybe some drama that you don't want to talk about. I'm because I don't know what the story is. I always wondered because when the demo came out and then the album, I'll show everybody public like this is the CD album. We'll talk about that. I
Right.
was talking to Answer. I even said on the channel I've been wanting to do this on vinyl forever because it's never been on vinyl. But when I listened to it, I thought it was. I think it's great. But the only thing is, I was like, other than Kelly from Pessimist being on here, I was like, it's literally Diabolic. It sounds like Diabolic. It's even Paul singing from Diabolic. I was like, maybe there was some drama with band members they wanted to leave. I was like, why did they even start it? I was like, it's literally the same exact band. Like, because I've told a few people about it. They're like, I never heard it. I was like, well, you like the first few Diabolics, right? The original lineup, at least. Like, yeah. Like, then I was like, there's no way you're not gonna like it. I was like, it's exactly the same thing.
I mean, it was the same team, man. I mean,
So
uh,
what was the what's the what why even what's the need to do another band then?
right. So I got back from Europe. I mean, and you have like back then. Paul couldn't get a passport, so we had to get so when you have a tour and he can't get a pass, you got to get somebody to do it.
Yeah,
So the only
100%.
person I could really think of was Robert Cardenas from Bobby from he's in Possess now, right? So
Mm.
he's the bass player in Possess now, but I remember him out in California, and I really liked the work that he was doing in his band, Coffin Tex. I was like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, Conquest. Yeah, the other band that sings about Egyptian topics other than Nile.
right, man,
Great
and
band, dude. Great band, dude. I got their two CDs, their two albums over here on my rack. I'm not talking about your guys' mom's tits either. I'm talking about my CD rack.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And so when I said, Bobby, man, we need you, man, really bad, and I know you can do it. And we got this tour, and then he was doing like I think all the all the cover songs. Like he was with this record label, and the record label was calling getting bands to do cover songs.
Hmm.
So he was working there and doing the graphics and stuff, and we would get a call and they'd be like, hey, you want to do Metallica. We do a cover of Metallica, and then we do a cover of Creator, and then we did a cover of Destruct.
Wait, Diabolic did these covers?
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Did you ever release those? Did you ever release those ever?
They were released on this label, but Bobby was working
Oh, I never
working
heard those. The only cover I heard was the on the Diabolic the City of the Dead LP, the vinyl, which I have here repress. You guys could have the Morbid Angel cover, but I didn't know about Metallica and shit. Like what songs did you even cover? I don't even know like
Okay, so we did The God That Fails by Metallica. We did Under the Guillotine by Creator, and
okay.
did The Ritual by Destruction.
Damn,
Uh,
yeah, I never heard these.
we did we did a Venom track. I don't remember the name of the song. Um, but yeah, we did what did I say? And then we did Slayer. Uh,
Oh, that's on the LP too with Gemini, I think you did.
right, it was that song.
It was one definitely most people don't do. That's for damn sure. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was what was that cover song? Hold on.
Yeah, I didn't realize you did all these covers.
Yeah, Gateways. So
Yeah, the get.
uh
Oh, I know there's that Slayer. Yeah, the I've seen that CD to where it's the where it's all the Slayer covers, but I never saw the others. Because I think they did a Merciful Fate one too, I believe, a comp CD where there's a bunch of Merciful Fate covers.
yeah, they did literally every band, and so we did Killing Fields by Slayer because
Okay.
all the songs were taken off Rain and Blood, and really
Yeah.
helped that all the other bands took that I wanted to do. So I was
Yeah.
like, Paul Bastrop, man, he's a badass drummer, and his style it's really complex. His rolls and some of his fills and his quads and stuff. So I was like, man, I want to take on this song. So we did Killing Fields by Slayer, tribute. But that was on Dwell Records. Bobby
Yeah.
was
Okay, that's right. Yeah, Dwell.
Bobby was working for a different company. I'll look it up here in a second. And but yeah, so I said, we got this tour, and Bobby said, hell yeah, I'll do it. We had, and he flew into Florida. He came out to Florida for about a month, and he learned all the songs. And then we played, and we played in Europe. We did a tour with Behemoth, Deicide.
So you're saying Bobby he filled in for Paul then basically on
Right, because
vocals.
Paul didn't have a passport, right?
Okay.
So, and then I'm just, trying to get to through the transition
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for you. Um, and then, we played the tour, we got back, and I read on Blabbermouth that I was out of the band.
Hmm.
So I called, Olympic Records, and I said, what's going on? He said, they've got another drummer. They want to do this, but Brian wants to do this he wants to do Diabolic with Eric Kurtzman. who's in Geigen, right? And
Mhm.
and he wants to, they want to do a record, they want to do a record with Neil Kernon, and he said, "There's nothing you can do. They've already booked studio time." And so I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well, I'm going to do Unholy Ghost then." He goes, "Well, you're gonna have to start all over, you know." Goes, put it. He said, you're gonna, you know, send demos out, just like I did before,
Mhm.
and to radio stations, fanzines, and to everybody that right. And
Mhm.
so I said, okay, and so it was like a couple months go by, and we had it. It was like actually it was like yeah, it was like a couple weeks ago. But it was like a couple days go by. I called Kelly right away. I'm like, fuck, dude. We got to do something. Now, because Brian's got the name of Diabolic. There's the record label said there's nothing you can do about it. He said, send me, the guys at Olympic Records and Century Media said, send us your new stuff and we'll listen to it. And
Yeah. Okay.
I said, okay. And so I think it was like 3 months later, we sent him that 3-song demo that I said I gave you, right?
Mhm.
And I still had the contract for Diabolic, and they just said cross out the name Diabolic and put Unholy Ghost on a Century, for for the record, for to get to get the record deal.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
was it was pretty easy because we were already signed, to Century Media at that point, and Marco said, just put your name over, that, and send me the contract so I don't have to drop a new contract. And that's how Unholy Ghost got signed. It was just like we played some shows, we played some shows, and
I was going to ask that if you ever did, because I never seen
mm-hmm.
and I never even heard it. Because again, like most, because I've talked about it briefly on the channel on Holy Ghost. I've talked about Diabolic a few times. Hell, I think I even shown a couple of my CDs because somebody asked about them. But
Mm-hmm.
most people, when I tell them about Holy Ghost, are like, no, I don't know anything about it. I was like, yeah, I guess it was kind of like short lived and under the radar. I was like, I've never seen them live. And
Yeah, we played Vegas. We played a Snake Net Metal Fest, and we played Tampa. We opened up for Deicide over in Clearwater,
nice.
and it's funny. It's funny, man. Um, the way the flyer came out for that show, man. Here, I'm going to show it to you real quick.
Oh, you have a Sid right there.
Here's a flyer for a show. It probably won't come out because of the background or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's got, oh, yeah, kind of showing out. Yeah, it's showing out from there.
But
So it's just the album cover basically in the background.
right. But do you see how you don't see the flyer right here where they made it like
Oh, yeah,
they
it's called, yeah, photo showing up. Yeah, no, it's showing up now.
they say our photo with the Deicide logo on it.
Oh, okay.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
But
So, fuck.
it's just like a funny advertisement. It's kind of like,
Well, no, so how did that go over? Like when you were playing with Deicide and these bands, like how did the crowd react? Like,
oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, having Kelly in the band was just like so fresh because his leads are just always so over the fucking top, and he
mhm.
just he just took it back. I mean, what Brian had, Kelly already had in anyway. He had, so it was just like you know both incredibly talented guitar players. You know what I'm saying? Brian Malone, and so Kelly just took that spot. He moved down to Florida, and we we played shows and did as much as we could, and then Century Media basically sold to Sony, so we really didn't really have um I don't know, something happened. Oh yeah, something happened with Holy Ghost. They said, well, we don't want you as a drummer or some shit like that. They got another drummer. We got into some fight or some shit about
You talking
something.
about for Diabolic or on Holy Ghost?
Unholy Ghost. Yeah,
Well,
so
but if it was basically if you basically started the band, your band, how the hell are they how are they kicking you out?
hey man, it happened so quick, and I was just like, I read it on Blabbermouth. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? That's how you find out you're kicked out of the band. So I was just like, all right, whatever. And then I started Blastmaster. You know, I was trying to, I had Blastmaster. I was trying to use the name Diabolic again, but the labels were just like, we don't know if you really have the rights to it and stuff like that. So I was just like, well, all right, I'll do the Blastmasters album. And I just never stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
you know, I put out the Blastmasters demo, did the
Mm.
same thing, sent it out to everybody, and so eventually, what's it called? What record? What's it's the record label in Georgia, man.
Deathgasm.
Yeah, Deathgasm. He
Yeah.
signed it, and then like, and then it was just like a time that just went by, and I was just like, the name Diabolic wasn't being used anymore. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it was just like, um, because Brian Malone, he put on Blabbermouth that he's gonna, disband the band, you
Mm.
know, and I was like, that's ridiculous. I was like, we have Joe Patagno artwork, we put all that work out. So I had a lineup, I had the Blastmasters lineup, and so they learned the songs, and then, um, you know, but it was just, I've gone, it's just a lot has happened over the
So
years.
it kind of sounds like the split between, because after Vengeance Ascending, that's the I'll be honest, Vengeance Ascending, that's the last album I know by Diabolic, because the first album after that is the one where it's a totally different lineup. And I listen, I'm like, whatever, it's okay. And then I usually, when a band does something that I don't really pick up, I kind of just like lose touch. I kind of, I just fall off, because I know you
Right.
guys kind of came back with more of the original lineup, and I don't really know that stuff. But it sounds like it was you and Brian that almost had a slight falling out, and that's why you started Unholy Ghost, and he was doing Diabolic. I mean, is it correct to say that?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And you know,
Well, how are you and Brian now?
no, I mean,
You don't talk?
nah, dude. I mean, it's cool. He's doing his thing, and
What is he doing? Any bands now? I don't even know.
I saw his band online. I just never, I don't know the name of it though.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, but because you're doing Diabolic now with Paul and who else is in it then now? Then
Well, now it's just like, um, you know, I've gone through some lineup changes. Right now, I want to focus on going back into the studio, right?
Mhm.
And so, you know, the team that I have now, it's just like I want to, I'm just like we're working out the details. I want to kind of keep it like top secret because
Okay.
what I mean. I don't want to leak anything because I want it to be more of a surprise for everybody,
Okay.
and then that way you'll like it even more. But the albums that I know that you're missing for after Vengeance Ascending is going to be Excisions of Exorcism, that has Joe Patagno artwork as well, and well, Chaos in Hell, and then of course the new album Mausoleum of the Unholy Ghost.
Hmm.
So those four albums, I mean, I just never stopped going after I got the name back, and I've changed lineups.
Now, and those
We
did you tour for those albums?
we did shows, yeah. We always kept doing
Okay.
festivals.
But you
Uh,
didn't come through. You didn't come through Cleveland or anything, did you? Because I don't recall seeing Diabolic playing over here in Ohio in fucking forever.
Right, just like exactly, and it just like I have to take on festivals, right, that we're invited to, and so more of those festivals are, are in Las Vegas, really. I mean, we wind up playing Vegas like a few years in a row, and just playing festivals. You can play festival here in Tampa. We played Kentucky. With Kelly, we played a bunch of festivals. I
Shit,
mean,
maybe you'll play, because I just started putting mine on. It's just a 1 day fest, and now this is my second year now. If I do one in 2027, maybe I'll have like a Diabolic and Holy Ghost set, like a combined like songs. Maybe I'll invite that. We can talk about that, man. That'd be kind of cool. It's here in Ohio, Cleveland. I'd do it.
yeah, I'll be down for that for sure.
especially now that we're in touch. Now that we got a contest, we can always talk something out, you know. So my next one is this year. It's August 1st. This year is my next one. But and if it goes over really well, which I'm very confident it will, more than
Mm-hmm.
likely I'll be doing one in 2027. But my whole goal is, dude, is it's got to be stuff that doesn't come through this area. Like I'm not just looking to do a fest/show like every year just for the sake of doing it. I only want stuff to where you either has never been to the state of Ohio or it's very, very rare. So for example, like my headlining band this year is Denial of God from Denmark. They've been around since 1992. They've never been to the States ever. So I'm flying them in for a one-off show just to play mine, and they're going home. And they've never even been to the States, nonetheless Ohio. So crap like that is what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, that's the kind of shows we like to play because
Yeah.
they're fun. You know what I mean? Because I mean, touring is expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and not everybody can get away from their families for away from work. It's just like it's expensive out here to live. So you know what I mean?
Yes. What part you're in Florida? What part of Florida are you in?
I'm in Tampa, right in
Oh,
the
okay. Okay.
heart.
How do
Uh,
they work? Because you're originally from what, Maryland or Minnesota or
yeah, I'm from Philadelphia.
oh, well,
So
Scott, dude, you lived in like, but you were in Maryland for a while, weren't you?
right, and
So
yeah,
what do you just like move around all the time? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, growing up, my mom, she moved, so we moved down to we lived in, you know, Worcester, Massachusetts, and then we moved down to uh Hyattsville, Maryland, and then you know Silver Spring, Maryland, after like Tacoma Park, Silver Spring, and that's where I really got into. In high school, that's when I really got into playing and listening to heavier thrash, death thrash metal, and then death metal. Um, and it was like when I went to high school, I was I think the first show I went to was Whiplash, Power and Pain, right? You have that you like to hear that album?
horsepower, paying ticket to mayhem, dude. Some of the greatest thrash albums ever, homie.
Right, right. So that was my first show down at a club in Washington
Was this
D.C.
like this like 80? That's got to be like 85, right?
Yeah, dude, they opened. It was like In Destroy opened up, and some local bands and stuff like that. But and At War, I think was another one of my first shows.
Yeah,
And
cause they what were around that time too. It seemed like at war. Granted, that's before my because I was born in '85. That's a little before my time. You look at the old flyers and demos. It seems like they were playing with every goddamn underground show. It seemed like at war was on.
yeah, I mean the drummer always was doing these double bass drums. He was a monster on double bass. I mean, At War's fucking killer. So I mean, and then after that, I mean, we I started going. I saw other shows like you know Blood Feast and fuck and you know
Kill
there
for
was like
Pleasure, dude. One of my favorite thrash albums ever is Kill for Pleasure and the Face Fade EP.
yeah, Face Fate, Kill for Pleasure,
Mm-hmm.
and those were those, and then I saw Possessed, Dark Angel, and so it's Possessed, Dark Angel, and I don't remember if it was Voivod. I think it was Voivod.
Maybe was it maybe Sacrifice?
It was Voivod and Creator. I remember that show, and I
Okay.
remember Dark Angel and Possessed. I remember those are two separate shows.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't think there was like three bands but but yeah, just going to those shows at the East Side Club, seeing Possessed, Seven Church play, with Jeff Becerra actually, standing up,
Yeah,
and
he's a kid. Oh, dude, you guys are about the same age, which is hilarious because people would think that Jeff is older than he is because Seven Church is coming out in '85. But a lot of people don't realize he recorded that on spring break at 16 years old. So you guys are around the same age.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So, but you're looking at him at like you're looking at him as like a legend or royalty at the time, and it's like you guys are basically the same damn age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of like that. We were all teenagers, going and
Yeah.
going to these mosh pits, and it was so fun. Everybody was cool, and you know, just watch, because I mean, I think Slayer. I mean, I'm sorry, Possessed had just come out with like Seven Churches when I saw them, And to watch seven churches at that time was just mind blowing because
Mm-hmm.
Larry Lalonde was in the band. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And fuck, I mean, it was the real deal. I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
still play those songs perfect now. Don't get me wrong,
yeah. But it's not the original lineup from the record.
but to watch those guys actually play those songs were just so dangerous, man. And then Dark Angel with Gene Hoglan, double bass
Mm-hmm.
drum. Like when you're a kid and you're seeing that, you're just like, man, the music's so powerful coming through the PA and everybody's fucking moshing and going crazy and shit, drinking.
Well, it's funny, dude. You're bringing this up, like, so all these kid memories and like how you're getting extreme music, like especially that's what was the most extreme stuff at the time and the years that coming out. Like, I asked like Kate from Hyrax, similar question. Like, it was hard to find that stuff back then, and it was an exclusive club. And things are becoming less gatekeeping now, and it's more easy to find with YouTube, Spotify. But yourself, dude, especially being like a black dude, how was it getting into the metal scene where it's primarily white? It's
Mhm.
extreme as fuck. Hell, even if from a white family, like there's a satanic panic, people are looking at it like as an extreme thing. Like, how
Oh
did
yeah,
your family take to it? How did your friends? How did the scene take to you? Like, because like as you know, there wasn't very many black guys, especially at that time in the metal scene. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude. I mean, it was really like a natural transformation for me because I was riding BMX and skateboarding. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I grew up in Hyattsville where everything was metal. Everybody was riding around listening to, you know, Motley Crue and like all the hair bands. I mean, that's the kind of city Hyattsville
What
was.
about What about your family? Like your aunts, your uncles, your like? Do they like? Why do you like this stuff? This is devil music. Or like, did they say shit like that or no?
No, they're extremely supportive. In fact, I mean, my aunt down here, my mom, she's always been supportive. She used to give me bus money to take up to get to ex mortis practices.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have to take like four buses from Tacoma Park to Frederick, Maryland. Take the metro, and living living in Maryland, you take the metro everywhere. So I take the bus. I take like four buses and then get off at Shady Grove Station in Rockville, Maryland, and then they would come and get me from there. Or I would take the
Mm-hmm.
bus even farther out to get picked up by Brian and Chris from Ex
Mm-hmm.
Mortis. So um, my family's always been very supportive. My dad's a drummer, so and he grew up listening to like Zeppelin and you know a lot of like Weather Report, like a lot of different Weather Report's like a fusion jazz fusion band, right? So he would take
Mm-hmm.
me to see like Stanley Clark, and like a like fusion bands, like jazz fusion. That's what my dad was into at the time in the 70s. That was just like really popular. A lot of great drummers, like Lenny White, and so he was listening to a lot of jazz fusion, and my mom was listening to a lot of like Stevie Wonder and you know Motown music, I guess you would say. But so you put that together, man, and I had a pretty wide range of music I was listening to when I was a kid already, you know, from my parents. So I was always free to um, do whatever I wanted, like as far as expression. So I was like riding my bike one day, and I was like, um, I was this dude Tyler. He's in high school, man. I think he was like a senior, and he had a band called Carnage, and he had a Volkswagen. And so, like, after school, he was skateboarding and I was riding my bike. And then, we would, do tricks off his car and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, man, dude, that's cool, man. You can jump up and he goes, man, you should check out my band. I was like, oh, okay. So we went over his house, checked out his band, and they were bad as fuck. And so we started tape trading. He gave me DRI, Dealing with It. That was my first introduction to heavy hit.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
already had Motley Crue,
Yeah.
and already had Rush,
Yeah.
and I was already listening to everything, you know.
Yeah, now
So
you're hearing more extreme shit. Yeah.
right, everything was already on MTV. And then next thing you know, it's like, um, yeah. So he just started giving me a bunch of tapes. He gave me like different tapes, and tape trade. He would make sure that because back then we had two double tape players. You had like um two tape players. You could record a tape to another tape of the music. So he would always make me a double say, always go to his house, give him a cassette tape, and he would, you know, record Exodus, Slayer, you know, Venom, whatever he had. He had Hyrax, he had nuclear he had there he had a lot of different bands, right? Nuclear Soul, like whatever he could give me, right?
Mm.
And so that's how I learned. That's how I learned, the bands and stuff like that, and then so I mean, and watching his band, his drummer, those guys were awesome. And then um, I said, man, I really, I kind of already know how to play drums. My dad was a drummer, and I want to buy a drum set. So I got a paper route, and I bought a drum set. You know what I mean? I had to ride my bike and deliver papers in the freezing cold. And, you know, I saved up my money. I got a different job, and then bought a piece. I think I started working at Sears across the street. I was like at Wheaton Plaza, Wheaton Mall in Silver Spring, Maryland. And Chuck Levin's was like at this music store. Was still a music store across the street from Wheaton Plaza, and it's called Washington Music Center. So I bought my drum set piece by piece there, and then I put up an ad, right? Put up an ad and said, you know, drummer looking for, guitar players into Creator, Destruction, and Sodom
Okay.
and Slayer. That's what
Yeah.
I put. 4 bands, right? So I get a phone call from Chris Weiser, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you got your ad here." And these guys are older than me, man. They're like I think I was like 16, and they were like 19 and shit.
Yeah.
They knew all the underground shit, like they had already been, tape straight with like, Chuck from Death,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
they were already friends with, you know, um, really the second wave of all the bands that were coming out. They had already known all the bands that were coming up, like Immolation. They were already trading with Immolation, and
Yeah.
Morbid Angel. They already knew about Morbid Angel. They had
Yeah.
already had the Thy Kingdom Come demo and shit. And I'm still listening to Pleasure to Kill and shit.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, they're in the demo bands. That's where a lot of people don't understand. That's a topic on the channel to
yeah,
where it's just fun, kind of like educating the history. I'm like, technically speaking, I was like, dude, the underground was like demo bands. Like once you're an album band, you're kind of like, in a sense, not underground anymore. Which is, I mean, it's ridiculous to say, but it's talking about kind of like you're saying, the extreme underground was demos and 7 inches and shit like that.
yeah, for sure. And it was like, I think like for me, like seeing Slayer, Rain and Blood, like literally seeing those guys play. I went to, Warner Theater, downtown Washington, D.C., and I saw, them play those songs. I saw playing all the Hell Await songs with that Rain and Blood production live.
Mhm.
I mean, it was Overkill that opened up, right?
Oh, nice.
So everybody's like, yeah, 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 cheering and stuff.
Yeah.
And fucking as soon as Overkill was done, everybody cleared out because it was a whole nother group of people coming in, really,
Okay.
and a much darker crowd. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it got real serious. It got real serious.
Now the particular show you were at,
You're right.
Was carrying them and stuff. Were they still wearing spikes and gauntlets
Yeah.
on stage?
Had the upside down crosses shine. Yeah.
Yeah.
The white upside down crosses shining on both sides of the stage.
Because those were the days, man. Because then you get into the '90s and they're wearing like sports jerseys and shit on stage. You're like, come on, man, what the fuck you guys doing?
Yeah, Dave Lombardo had that red Tama drum set. He pulled off the Angel of Death double bass drums, uh,
Mhm.
and it was just insane just to watch those guys play. And they just played all the Hell Await songs fast as fuck. I
Mhm.
mean, Dangerous and I mean literally every row of seats from like because it's a theater and they were all cleared out, like gone, like destroyed. I mean, the pit was so insane. People were jumping off the balconies and shit. So, when you see that kind of shit when you're growing up, you're just like, this music is powerful. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I knew it. I felt that. I've seen what it could do to people, what it does to people. And it made me crazy. I was like, fucking I'm addicted to this shit, bro. There's no way out of it for me. So I bought a drum set and then, just started playing, practicing, and with Ex Mortis, we put out a couple demos, Immortality's in, and
Yeah.
Set in the Chaos.
For people
Um,
that don't know, I'll show like let me see, where's it here? It's do I have it here? Where is it? Do I Yeah, here it is. This is all like if you want to hear X Morris Banks talk about the first two demos he's on. The best release was put out by Necroharmonic. It's the entire discography of shit.
oh fuck yeah, yeah, those are the
And
guys.
this release.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah,
you
dude,
did.
I got it all, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's the right there. That was the beginning for me.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
So by
you
that
know,
point, you didn't even know how to like do blast beats or anything, do you? At this point?
well, yeah, because blast beats weren't. It was still Dave Lombardo all the way.
Yeah.
And it was still
Yeah.
Gene, and it was still, and then, but out of like, I mean, time it went by so fast. I mean, that it was like, the more it was like, you know, our demos, the demos came out, and then next thing you know, it's 1990, 1991, right? And then, you know, it was Grind Crusher, and then it was the Terrorizer LP, you know, World Downfall, right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that changed the whole game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
As for drums, because it's one thing to do a skank beat, right? And but when you hear the power of the production of Terrorizer World Downfall with Pete's blast beats and just those raw guitars, no lead guitars, you know what I'm saying? Just it's just a powerful album without any leads, right? And you're just like, oh my god, the double bass drums are there, but this blast beat just took it to another level. And for me, like it took me like almost like I think a year just to get my hands to play, just my hands, just to
Mm-hmm.
do to keep up with what P. Sandoval was doing. Right?
Yeah.
You gotta remember, I was like 20 fucking songs on a record. His
Yeah.
hands just untouchable. Like, and his stamina was untouchable. Like, I just because I'd played Rain of Blood a million times. You know what I'm saying, by myself. You know what I'm saying. And I'm already doing that kind of drumming style in Ex Mortis, right? So I mean, and then I just thought about it. I was like, man, with Ex Mortis and stuff, um, things, we had a show with we had some really killer shows, I think my favorite show was Pensacola, New Jersey, with Gorephobia, the guys
Mm-hmm.
from Immolation were there. And we picked up George Corpsegrinder on the way. And it was a killer
How
fun.
was George back then as a kid? Was he like, because obviously you know him in his adult years too. Was he exactly the same back then, kind of just like a goofball guy?
Yeah, he
Or
was cool.
was
He
he,
was always cool as fuck, man. Because
yeah.
like I mean, for him to like, he was like, man, he liked Ex Mortis. And I was like, man, that's fucking cool as fuck. And so we were just like, Corpsegrinder opened up for Ex Mortis in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got to meet George Corpsegrinder.
Okay.
And we were just like we were hanging out, and I think a More of an Angel song came on, and he knew all the lyrics, and I knew all the lyrics, and then we fucking clicked. And you know, after that, dude, I just saw I knew him. I mean, I think I was like 17,
So what do you think? Like, because since you've known him since that's when he was a nobody, what you looking at it now? 40 years later, like him being known as kind of like pretty much the largest death metal singer, arguably, like most known, most popular as far as his image. What's your take on that? You're like never would have could have seen that kind of. It's like what do you?
Well, I remember just like like with George, man, it was like I moved to Florida because Ex Mortis, we had this show that with Morbid Angel, Sacrifice, Nuclear Death, and Fatal. Okay.
Yeah, great band.
And up in it was like
Detroit.
Death Fest, Michigan Death Fest
Yeah,
#1.
yeah.
And so somehow, my guitar player, uh, you know, he decided, he didn't want to do it. Brian, he said, "Hey man, I'm gonna go get married to Sharon from Dercada and fall in love, and
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do it." And we're standing in the driveway ready to go and play this show. And so I said that day, I was like, um, I'm gonna move to I'm gonna move to Florida because I mean I literally from finding out that Brian took off to go get married. Um, I took the bus home. I got some cardboard and I cardboarded up my drums. Wherever I don't know, somehow I got my drums. I got a ride to get my drums and everything. I got my drums home. I cardboarded my drums up and I put them on a bus down to Florida. Okay, and so I'm living at my like literally that a week after that happened, us not playing that show, I moved to Florida to St. Pete, Florida, and at that time, Florida blowing up. I mean, you gotta understand, like obituary cause of death was on the fucking radio. It just came
Yeah.
out. And so I get down here and I call Malevolent. I call Phil from Malevolent Creation. I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, man, fucking, I need a new band. I've got to fucking start all over. And he's like,
Mm.
well, call Roger Patterson from Atheist. And so, all right, Roger Patterson from Atheist shows up at my house, bro. Like literally,
Nice.
I call him and he's fucking cool as fuck. And he comes and picks me up and takes me down to Bradenton to to the whole, another underground Florida scene over at Bradenton. And Roger Patterson, he passed away in a bus accident on his first tour. And he was just the coolest fucking guy in the fucking world, man. Him and Ronnie and his brother. So I'd go over to there to hang out with him, and we stay at his grandmother's house, party all night, drink, smoke, drive around all fucking night. And he'd take me to party and show me all these, show me Florida, his side of Florida, and then somehow I made it back up. It's just like I had a job, working up in St. Pete, over in St. Pete. I was working at like Sears or Montgomery Ward or some shit, and I was just like, man, I gotta, I want to get over to Tampa. So I get over to Tampa somehow, and George, um, you know, he was with monstrosity. So it was
Mm-hmm.
so fucking weird, man. It was just like I remember he was down here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
he was doing a monstrosity horror infinity demo.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in Lauderdale. So
You weren't
George,
expect. Yeah, you just weren't expect to see him down in Florida.
yeah, it was. I mean, he was down here too,
Yeah.
right? So fucking, so I went down to the monstrosity house. I was like trying to find guitar players and shit, and I wound up going down to the monstrosity house and hanging out with those guys. They had a band house, and fucking just watching those guys play that fucking hard infinity. That shit was fucking incredible with George fucking singing, watching them practice, at their house.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's just been like determined, like nobody I've ever known. He'd always say, "I'm the best fucking vocalist," and he was not fucking around. Then and he was, he was just like, nobody could outspin me,
Oh, you talking about that?
nobody, and
Yeah.
he's right. Nobody could touch his energy, man. And his vocal patterns were always on point. They weren't all over the place. You could understand, you could follow the lyrics on the lyric sheet right
Yeah,
across.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's actually saying the word exactly because especially when you start to hit like late '90s, early 2000s with the really brutal, guttural stuff. There's bands you're reading the lyrics, you're like, dude, some of these words you guys you're not even saying, man. I was like, I'm trying to follow the lyrics, and I'm telling you, you ain't saying these goddamn words.
Right. And that's what's, that's what I think. Well, yeah, it doesn't make any sense because the story is in the music. I mean, is in the lyrics, right? I
Yeah,
mean, the fun part about reading, Hell Awaits is the fucking lyrics, man. You're reading a whole fucking some deep shit there. And that's like, the more fun part about listening to death metal is just reading the lyrics because it's
dude, it's
just
so funny you say it because very few people say that. To be completely honest with you, dude, I think that's, and I said this on my channel. I think that's one of the big. I think that before the music is what got me into metal music was just the image and the lyrics and the darkness because I just like dark stuff. You know what I mean? I was a lit kid. You know what I mean? So then, and then naturally the music just clicked because prior to hearing it, I didn't follow music at all. Just a kid, I was just wasn't into it like a young kid. I didn't start caring about music until I heard metal. But I think what really attracted it was just you saw the covers and you saw the lyrics. And you're like, fuck yeah. So like I'm a big lyrics guy. So like, what do you think of like, which I'm a big fan of the album, assuming you are. What do you think of them like Obituary, Slow Your Rot? How there's no, he's not even allegedly he's not even saying any words.
well, bro, man. I was a huge Executioner fan when they put that fucking song out.
Metal up your ass demo.
Whatever, yeah, I think, yeah, when they put out a song, "Find Your Rise," I think like that, like it was on like a you know compilation or some shit. It was like
Yeah.
one song on a compilation, and I was blown the fuck away by that. So I was always a huge. I didn't give a fuck if he could say anything because John Tardy's voice is so fucking badass.
Yeah, it sounds
So
like no one, it sounds like absolutely nobody at the time for sure.
I don't give a fuck what he does. He's the baddest motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's the shit. So I was like, well, but yeah, man, George, back in them days, just that, he was like, he was fucking badass, and all of a sudden it's like, Monstrosity, and they came out, and then they got signed to Nuclear Blast and shit. All these bands are getting signed and shit, and I'm sitting there fucking watching everything while my band Ex Mortis just it didn't take any traction.
Yeah.
Everybody's going on tour, everybody's getting record deals, and this is like 90, this is like 89, this is like 91, right?
So you kind of you put it for like what sounds like you're saying is you feel like you're kind of like dicking around, like you're behind.
What was way behind? Think about it. I mean, my band was already offered a record deal with Roadrunner, and and we didn't take it. It was, and I didn't know that we didn't take it.
Mm.
So it's just like, I wasn't doing the mail, you know what I'm saying? But we had like, probably like, I don't know. We had this ridiculous mailing list. So we knew like over like 50,000 people. It was insane, right? From being ex mortis for 4 years. So I had that list I always had that list of people that we had already tape traded with, and all the ex mortis sales, you know what I'm saying? Because there was no internet back then. We were going, I mean, Brian was going to the post office all the time. He was selling a lot of ex mortis demos. There's so I had that list, and so I had that list with me, and so I'm hanging out one day. I'm like, over at Richard and Pete's house. They're like, oh, we just got back from tour, man. Check out this check out this demo, and it's the Impiety demo, right?
Yeah, that we ended up putting out on 7 inch.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
still have
yeah,
some in stock, dude. Yeah, I was gonna eventually ask that if we got there organically or not. But oh, you got one in front of you. Yeah.
yeah. It's not
See,
gonna come up, but
go back a little more. Like maybe like try to sit still with it. I don't know why the fuck it shows you, but like
yeah, but it's cool. You got it.
yeah, it's showing up now. But yeah, that dude. I didn't even to be honest with you, dude, because Gene talked to my brother Chase. He's the bald one in the photo on the thumbnail. Um,
Cool.
he he talked to Chase about us doing it too, because the Impiety that I always knew was from Singapore, which I'm a fan of. They're still around, but you Skull fucking Armageddon and shit. But I didn't realize there's another band under the name of Piety, and I damn sure didn't know it was you and Gene. And like it's like killer as hell. Like so, I'm like new to dude. I found out through us Hell's Headbangers doing it. You know what I mean? Like I was always a fan of Angel Corpse and shit since I was a kid.
Right.
Like that was they're showing 2000. That's when I first saw them. So years and years, but I never knew about that Impiety project. So yeah, if you want to go into that,
Yeah, I mean, so I'm down here in Florida, and so yeah, and like I'm not, I'm just like, nothing's really going on. I was jamming around with different bands, but I wasn't recording. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't doing anything really. So when they gave me that demo, they're just like, I was just like, yeah, I can do this, because it had a drum machine. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. I called Gene up, and Gene's like, I'm gonna move to Florida, and he was down here within like a month, and so, but it didn't work out for us down here in Florida. So we decided, hey, you know what? Let's take it. Let's take it back to Minnesota. He's just like, Mark Cheeber's going to be there. The other guitar player for, he's just like he's just like so. He didn't move down to Florida. Only Gene moved down. So it's just like, well, we kind of need another guitar player anyway, you know. So we moved that back. We moved to Winona, Minnesota, and I got a job at Hearts Music and Audio as a drum teacher. Gene hooked that up, because Mark was working as a guitar teacher. So I got an apartment upstairs, and I was working at Mateka Recycling, during the day. So that was like, and it got down to like 0 degrees during the day, when you worked, you know what I'm saying? It's recycling. You know what I'm saying? It was brutal work. We cut paper, deal with, recycling cans and shit. It was a brutal job, man.
Yeah, that don't sound fun at all.
Nah, dude, you're working like for $3.50 an hour.
Yeah, right.
Canned truck, these 18-wheeler cans, trucks, and just like as recyclables. It was a nasty job. And so I decided, I was just like, man, so what we did was whatever. We just put out a 3-song demo, and we recorded it at Hearts Music and Audio in Winona, Minnesota. That's where, the picture on the back of there, you can see us standing on a cliff, right?
Yeah.
That's off the cliffs, in Winona. And it was killer because, I mean, and since Ex Mortis, I hadn't really jammed with anybody of the caliber of guitar players, right? So it was really good. It was a really good feeling to,
Well, that's the first recording you did post Ex Mortis.
right.
Okay, yeah.
That was like so it was like, for me, it was like a lateral position, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? As far as talent, because I had killer guitar players, but now I knew how to play the blast beat because I hung out with Pete, down here in Florida, and I knew how to play the blast beat, but I didn't have any music to put it to.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right. And with Ex Mortis, it was just like that wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
So, that was in the 80s, and then now I'm in the 90s. I gotta step up my game, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We hang out with Pete Sandoval and Lee Harrison and guys like Derek Roddy and there's just some incredible fucking drummers down here. Steve from Deicide would come over, I was living
Kim, all the greats.
Yeah, I was living with Kim and Nikki and Angela and Candy. They all worked at Mons Venus, right? And so we used to go to Mons Venus, and so we go. First time I walked into Mons Venus with Pete, we're in there for like 2 minutes, and Chapel of Ghouls fucking starts playing, and all these, dancers are fucking dancing the fucking.
The chicks are.
Yeah, it's fucking
shit. Even back then, huh? Because obviously chicks in metal now is becoming a little bit more common, but back then, especially the death metal, it was pretty goddamn
it was
slim pickings.
No, yeah, not down here in Florida. All the girls were were working at Mons Venus, so all the guys dated all the girls that worked at Mons Venus, all the strippers. The
Mhm.
strippers, you know, they helped out. They helped us. They helped the bands out. Without
Mhm.
them, we would, you know, without Kim, Nikki, and Angela, like, I mean, that's like, fuck, man, where would I be, man? It's like they gave me a place to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to get out of St. Pete, so I moved over to Tampa, and Kim, she, you know, she was just like, you could stay with us, and you know, I moved in with these three beautiful girls from Mons Venus.
How's that? How's that? I can't say I had a situation like that. How's living that situation?
Well, it was pretty awesome. I mean, you gotta remember. I
Sounds
mean,
like it.
they were dating. They were dating like Kim was dating. Like Richard Brunel. I think
Oh,
Richard Brunel.
okay. That dude, I've heard
And
stories about
so
him. So that
it
I've
was
heard
like,
stories about him, dude. So that had been interesting.
but and then Trey would come over. Fucking Steve would come over and um hang out, and fuck, it was people come over. I mean, it was just like it was just a killer house because the girls, I mean, they were just crazy, bro. They
Out
were
of curiosity, around this time, 'cause you mentioned Steve and shit, like how are you having any interactions with Glenn Benton? Because everybody knows I'm a huge Deicide fan. I've had Glenn on the channel, like I did in person. Like, what is your? Did you meet Glenn at this time? Is he coming? Is he coming over the stripper's house? Like, how's?
no. I think it was just more. I think um I think it was Eric because Eric was going out with Candy.
Okay, okay. So Glenn's just sitting at home being grumpy then, or
Well, no, yeah, I mean, and then like we all smoked a lot, so it's just like we're all just hanging out. So I mean, so yeah, Eric was going out with Candy, and then these girls, they're just, they knew all the bands and shit. So I was living there, and they would all invite over and be party at the house, and then go out and shit, have a good time, go to a show, or whatever. Man, we were all friends, we were all young and shit.
so no GB stories.
Not back then, no. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really meet Glenn until I was on the Deicide tour, and you know what I'm saying? Like
This is years later. You met Glenn.
on the Deicide tour in Europe, really. You know what
That's
I'm
what I say.
saying?
So you didn't meet him until like a decade later.
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
they live over in Clearwater, I think something like that. They're
Okay.
living up there, and Tampa is just like it's like 30-minute drive. It's like it's
Oh, you make it sound like it's like 4 hours away.
yeah. I
Dude,
mean,
I drove 45 minutes last night for a show. I didn't think anything of it.
no, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they lived on the other side of the bay, so it's
You're
just like
way over there. Oh
yeah.
shit.
But yeah, I mean, St. Pete, you can just look on the map. But
Yeah, yeah.
back then it was a lot of fun.
Well, so dude, you have which what I'm hearing from you is you've had tons of guys helping you out, open arms, etc. Now, I don't know how up to snuff you are with social media and some of the drama that goes on. Personally, I was never up to snuff with it until I started doing this channel, which has been almost 5 years. So I get lumped into it. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's part of the game as far as especially a YouTube channel. And
Right.
a video that was pretty big this year, and I got lumped into commenting on it, and which is cool. Whatever, people like response videos and shit like that. But there was a band called Rip to Shreds, and the main guy, he does a YouTube channel. I didn't really know much about them. I heard of their band. Hell's Headbangers had their stuff in stock, but not familiar with the band. Newer band, right? But I guess the guy does a YouTube channel. Okay, cool. Somebody sent it to me, and it was a pretty popular video this year. And the basis of the video was, and he started it, is he says that because he's an Asian guy, and he says racism is rampant in the metal scene. Now, you being a black guy, and there's not many like, because I gave my response to it, but someone like you would have a better response. What would you say if he's saying racism is rampant? Now, initially, when I was like, well, you're gonna have some racism and everything, but overall, in a nutshell, my response is like, dude, it's not rampant. I was like, of course, you're gonna have some. outside you're gonna have some. I was like, I think it's the 1%, if in my opinion, but I think someone like yourself would have a much better answer. What would you say? It doesn't have to be in response to him, just quoting somebody saying racism is rampant in metal music. What would you say?
Um, I think, to be honest with you, everybody's, I don't know what his view is. Everybody has a different experience in life, right?
Sure.
And I don't know what his experience is, right? But from my experience, you know what I'm saying? From what I've been talking to you about, I've always been, taken under the wing, man. People have already taken me under their wing, and like, or and especially when it came to what tape trading, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, I didn't have, you know, really see that growing up. I mean, it's like everybody. It was like so many different cultures already in it. You know what I'm saying? It was like it didn't. There's bands from all over the world. You know what I'm saying? Um, I mean, I should. Well, I mean,
Would you say this? Would you think this, or is it's just my weirdo ass? In a sense, in a band, I think it could almost help because I got to be honest, dude. Like when I saw like Hyrax and you're already checking out bands, I'm like, oh wait, dude, there's a thrash band and there's like the singer's a black guy. I was like, right out the gate, I was like, I want to hear it. I was like, that's because you don't see that. Like it almost like it would
dude, that's
help
what I'm
because
trying to
it's
say. I'm
different.
like, bro. I mean, what I saw when I heard Hyrax, I saw Hyrax was like, fuck, man. I mean, I was just like, I never really saw it like that, man. Especially, because Caton from Hyrax was on fucking Metal Blade or whatever, right?
Mhm.
I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, when I heard his album, it was bad as fuck. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard demos. His demos are bad as fuck
Oh,
too.
they're all the demos. I know that is awesome.
Like, I'm like, damn, his voice was bad as fuck back then. And so I remember listening to his records because I was tape trading and getting Hyrax records. So I always felt like welcome. You know what I'm saying? I walk into a club, you know what I'm saying? Drink a beer, everybody's cool. Like, I never really
Have you
experienced.
bumped into it at all? Especially in Florida, I would think that you never bumped into any racist individuals at all, like whatsoever.
Well, I think my first Slayer show here was a little bit different than the Slayer show in at the at Warner Theater.
Well, okay, so your first one there, what year are we talking?
Divine Intervention.
Okay, so like 96 or some shit like that. Something around.
Yeah, that was when I first saw him there. And here,
Yeah.
there's just kids more wearing swastikas, more open, like like that's. But
So
that
you
was the
show
only
okay, oh
difference.
my god, so okay, that's I haven't heard this. So like you show up to
Yeah,
a Slayer show, there's kids wearing
yeah,
swastikas. Do they
yeah,
approach you? They say do they say anything?
well, they're just patches. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
that's just it's just the South. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's rebel land down here. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's what I would
So
think. Yeah.
that was the only thing I noticed differently. But nobody ever treated me or said anything to me. Um, like, and if I ever did hear anything, I was just like, I've heard so much shit in my life, like from black people too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it doesn't matter. It's just like I was like, man, nothing really bothers me. You know what I'm saying? I always got my shields up, and I just focus on, uh, the music's so much powerful than racism. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Racism is just like the stupidest thing. Anyway, it's just like, you know, fuck. Do you like? I think food and music bring people together the best, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you like Chinese food, you like tacos, you like Mexican food.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true. Yeah.
how can you be a racist and like tacos? How can you know what I'm saying? Like, how can you be a racist and like Chinese food? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make
Well, it's
any.
funny because I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I've never. Not saying again. I do realize there's some racist people, and I've met some, and it's
Yeah,
funny just when you call them out and some of their ideology. Because I can have an intelligent conversation with somebody if they want to. They always have they'll say something. They'll have an excuse. It'll be something stupid, like
yeah. I ain't got time. I just like, man. I don't. I'm always thinking about playing the show that night, right? Like
Mm.
my focus, and you know, it's life's hard enough, man. It's just like you got to. For me, it's just like focusing on. the riffs, and the song structure,
Mm.
right? That's where my head is always. That's where when I'm thinking about that, and I can't think about anything else. You know what I'm saying? Um, these people. I'm sure a lot of people have their opinion, but shit, I've been to a million fucking shows, man. I mean, nobody ever fucked with me, dude. You know what I'm
What
saying?
other because you mentioned Europe, what other have you played like Australia, Japan, countries like that?
No, but I mean, I did hear, when we played it in Europe, with Behemoth and stuff, there was just like we would hear about, skinheads and shit like that. I
Mm.
mean, that's the kind of shit. That was a thing. Like when I was growing up, just like watch out for the skinheads, dude, because there was the skinheads, dude. It was just like, so I mean, and that was kind of tough, man. I mean, watching Destruction tour with it was a killer, two killer bands, Cro-Mags and Destruction.
Mm.
Right? And fuck, I'm a huge Destruction fan, like, Infernal Overkill,
Of
you know,
course.
fan. And so I'm like, fuck, I'm watching that. And then, of course, that was like the first time I saw skinheads fucking with Destruction. I mean, it was just, that was fucked up. Because they were there to see Chromax and shit. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So that was like the first time I saw shit, that was, shit go down. That was, you know, and that was the skinheads against metal. Like that was
Yeah,
the first
that
that
yeah,
I
wait,
seen.
that's like it's funny because like people talk about the racist shit now. It's like, dude, that was like if anything, we're more peaceful than ever. I was like, that was a thing in the 80s. I was like, now, like, even black metal and death metal, there was a little bit of division with that in the like 2000s and stuff. Now it's more like you go to like a lot of these festivals, dude, it's like mixed genres, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's some festivals over there that are just 100% black metal and
Yeah, yeah.
like they don't fuck around, dude. They don't want no death metal. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's some division there, but that's still, you know what I'm
But I think
saying?
it's more, I think the metal scene is more unified than ever as far as in the
Oh,
history of it.
absolutely. I mean, black metal to me is Bathory. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? With no makeup, bro. You know
No makeups allowed.
well, I'm just saying, dude, like that's what I mean.
So what do you think of Merciful Fate? Do you like Merciful Fate and King Diamond or no?
Right. Well, that's different though. I mean,
No, I know,
Mercyful
but do you like that?
Fate.
But like, do you like Merciful Fate?
Oh my God, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Mercyful Fate is just like it's so powerful. That shit's so powerful, man. You gotta watch out, bro. Like when I got turned on to Merciful Fate, I heard his voice and I just of course it took me a minute to get into it, and then I was like once I heard how dark and evil it was, that's what drew me to it. Because like you said, it's the album cover and the lyrics, right? Right.
Yeah,
That's your comic book right there.
yeah,
And
100%.
but when you put the music in there with King Diamond fucking singing the most scary shit in the fucking world, dude, the most demonic shit. Oh my God, bro. That's chilling, bro. That's dangerous shit, bro. I mean, shit, Merciful Fate's fucking the most fucking unholy shit in the world on
I
the
said
planet.
that. I always say Merciful Fate is the greatest band in the world. I always
Yeah,
say that.
King Diamond is like, thank God, man. Thank God for Merciful Fate because
Have you ever met King Diamond?
no, I've never met him, but we played the Milwaukee Metal Fest or something like that,
Yeah.
and we played downstairs. Uh, I think it was Diabolic. We played downstairs.
It's like
Um,
98 or so, because I think that's the year Merciful Fate played.
Right. And then that was the first time I saw him, bro. And I
Okay.
saw and I saw him in the balconies because that's a pretty big, theater.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is.
so it was really amazing to see him like their music. It's just like it was just like mind blowing to watch that show. Um and then seeing him again and I think we saw him again in DC. But yeah, man. I mean, I've been lucky, man, to actually to see him fucking play, dude. Like that band is so talented. The lead guitars,
Mhm.
the melodies, the drums. There's no blast beats or nothing, man. It's just real fucking heavy, dynamic. metal,
Well, people don't realize. I mean, obviously, people watching this channel for the most part do. But I'm talking about more so, you know, commercial metalists. They don't realize, they know about Metallica and Slayer and shit, that they never heard of Mercyful Fate. It's like, you do realize Mercyful Fate was before Metallica, and Metallica even covered Mercyful Fate.
yeah, they did.
You know,
And that's, I mean, yeah, so that's a huge influence. I was lucky enough to have my friend, um, he sang the lyrics for me. So like I knew what the fuck I was listening to.
mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what's it because he already saw that I was already tape trading and I was in the Slayer and shit like that. He goes, yeah, that shit's cool, man, but I got something so much darker, so much more evil for you, bro. Or you know what I'm saying? He was just like,
Yeah,
you're going down that road. I got something for you. You
yeah.
know, I thought I was like, yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, but I didn't have that in my catalog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah,
So but when I started listening to that shit, I was like, I knew what I liked the most. You know what I'm saying? Because there was Ex Mortis was more of a gore band, like like gore death metal, like
yeah, yeah. Of course, yeah,
the lyrics were more gore
yeah,
oriented. Because Brian was in the Fangoria magazine and stuff like that, so his influences were gore.
yeah.
My influences are more unholy, more evil, more satanic, right?
Yeah.
So, um, I think I think that's what the impiety. That's why Gene and me clicked on the impiety, is because he was into that. He was into the burn the holy church, burn holy text, nine sacred ways, curse all this. The weak shall only fail. Like his lyrics were perfect for what I wanted to do because it was a transition from Ex Mortis right into unholy, brutal speed death metal, right? That like
Mhm.
black metal speed is fat, So I was like, okay, well, with a black metal edge, right? And then he went. So we decided, like, we just weren't doing anything in Minnesota. Like we were snowed in all the time, and I was like, I got a call from Pete Sandoval. He's like, um, "Hey man, you want to buy my drum set?"
Okay.
I said, "Fuck yeah!"
Mhm.
And the only way I could do it was move back to Maryland.
Mhm.
And so I arranged for the drum set to be, picked up from Florida. So he sold it to me like $1,500. So I got the drum set and then I'm jamming, with it was like a different version of Ex Mortis.
Mhm.
Uh, and it broke up pretty quick. We played a couple of shows and I moved from Minnesota back to Maryland and formed Horror of Horrors with,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Chuka and Mike Marchuka. And so when we got a band house, rented a band house, we could practice at the house, and it was killer. I mean, and then he knew Buddy and Harry already, so we had a band in like fucking in like a week or two. We just had to write the songs, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I had no problem. They always had Marshall stacks in the next room. So
Mhm.
I started picking up the guitar more, and writing, like easy riffs, like, so I wrote a lot of the songs on, Sounds of Erie.
Oh, okay, so you wrote a lot. Okay.
Yeah, and and then me and Chuka wrote a lot of that, and Harry, he came in and he wrote riffs, and then so we recorded Fangs Breaking the Skin,
Mhm.
and we put out Old Burnt Church Road. It was just like a 7-inch EP, and then that fizzled out. It was just like, I mean,
Yeah, why did that? Since you obviously had a couple records under your belt, like a lot of people like don't even know about that band. That stuff got reissued like not that long ago, maybe a year ago, maybe less than a year ago.
yeah,
Um,
horror is just like it picked it. We were playing a lot of shows. Okay, we actually played the Milwaukee Metal Fest before Diabolic did.
okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, we played like one of the earlier festivals, um, and it was like 1994, 95, something like that, right?
Mhm.
And we just there was living in Maryland at that time. There was the local bands you could play with. You could play with Deceased.
Mhm.
Play with the local bands over there, and you play Wilmer's Park, right? And
Uh-huh.
so we played some really killer fucking shows. Kelly was in Pessimist, Pessimist was there and shit. And
Uh-huh.
so that's where I got to meet Kelly too. I was just like, well, I saw him playing, and I was like, man, that's the kind of guitar player I want in my band.
Yeah.
Because he does those leads that are just like fucking, he's got the delay on it. He does all the dive bar shit that I want. And that's what those are, that's what I was missing. And um that's what I just like that style. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I was missing it. I had it in fucking Impiety. I had everything in Impiety. But when you move from Minnesota, and then I have to start over again, right? So
Uh-huh.
from, Minnesota to Maryland, and then after a couple albums, things just started fizzling out. We are playing a lot of local shows, and we all just kind of grew apart. And our last show, Kelly came and played, and then so Kelly came over, and I said, man, I got this idea, man. I want to do this band called Diabolic, okay? And I want you to play leads on it. I got drums and I got keyboards. And he said, okay, I'll be over. He drives down from Baltimore, and he does leads over the drums and the keyboards that I have, right? So, and I don't know if you, we just signed a deal for it, with the label. But I'll tell you about that in a second. But anyways, um, that demo was like a 3-song demo, and I decided, man, it's just like I got to move out of Maryland. There's just like nothing's going on, and I got to get back to Florida. I got to get back to Florida. It's fucking freezing up here, and I'm not getting anything done. We've got 2 records out. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Uh-huh.
fuck, we're not going on tour. Nobody's asking us to go on tour. We're not, we need a better. I mean, it's for way. I wanted to record at Morrisound, or at least be close to Morrisound. You know what I'm saying? I still had that Florida in me. You know what I'm saying? From living with Kim and Nikki and Angela, and you hanging out with everybody down here.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to come back down here. So I came back down here. I got, and Lee Harrison, he's like, man, I know these guys that are looking. I had 2 choices. I had two plans. I was like, I'm gonna try out for Hate Eternal,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna go and then or I'm gonna do Diabolic. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do my own thing. And so I tried out for Hate Eternal, and just um, that was just like that was one thing, right? And then
Why did you end up playing on that, like Conquering the Throne or anything like that?
I think like the practice that we had, um me and Eric had, was just like, it was a really rough practice. And at that time, we triggers were out and stuff. And so Pete's triggers were total. I went down to rehearse at the Morbid Warehouse, with Eric. So
Uh-huh.
Pete let me play his drums, and it's just like it was just a different drum setup, man. His triggers weren't working. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he puts a lot of wear and tear on his equipment. Let's just say that Pete goes through a lot of shit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
triggers back then, they last maybe fucking a month or two. You know what I'm saying? They weren't really built all that well. So his triggers weren't working, and it's just like I wasn't performing. It it was all fucked up.
So
So
did Eric just say, "All right, this ain't working out"?
yeah,
Or,
Eric
okay.
wasn't really too impressed fucking about when he's playing that fucking day, man. You know what I'm saying? And so I said, all right, that's cool, man. I know what I can do, because I just put out this Impiety demo. I know I can play doubles. I know I can play blast beats. I know how to do this. So, and with drums, man, you got to be able to be heard. Okay, you can't be fucking, you know, your feet can only do so much, man. The bass drums are acoustic. You know what I'm saying? So having those triggers got my bass drum volumes up to where the guitar volumes are, because the guitar volume, you turn a Marshall guitar on the 2 or 3, that's going to blow away any regular acoustic drum set. That's just the way it is. So having those triggers really helps you get those double bass drums out. You know what I'm
What do
saying?
you say? I've asked this to a few other drummers that I even had Lee Harrison on. I've asked this to a few drummers that I've had on. So as drummers, what do you say to the people out there that say triggers are cheating? You as a drummer, what is your take on that statement?
Right. It doesn't make any sense, because if you're gonna play acoustic drums, which drums are acoustic, right? Okay, you're only gonna get so loud. Okay, what's gonna make you louder? Microphones or triggers? You have the choice, right? They both do the same thing. Okay, and so what I think they're confusing it is with is cheating is going into the studio and putting like drums down, and then you really can't play it live. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
So right, you got to be able to back that shit up if you're going to put it on an album, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's cheating. You could say, yeah, he's cheating, but can he play it live? If he can play it live, he's not fucking cheating.
Well, Postman, is there any albums, maybe even albums that you're a fan of, and maybe it's somebody you don't even maybe necessarily want to throw under the bus? You're welcome to if you want. That you found out through the recording process that maybe it's an album you do like or you don't like. That is that case. Like it's on the album, but yet live, you're like that guy can't play it. It's like I know he can't because I was there. Like, is there any situations like that you know of personally?
Um, I know there's probably bands out there, you know what I'm saying, that
But you
probably
haven't seen it personally, like where you like you went and played with. I'm not saying them, but a band like Zyklone or something. You're like, hey, dude, I know he can't because I play with them. I'm just throwing a random name out
right.
there.
Yeah, I couldn't. I really couldn't actually. I don't really know a band. You know what I'm saying? That's doing that, but I think that that's probably where people are confusing what cheating. The word cheating is. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's just like putting out something you can't play. That's
Do you
what cheating.
know? Speaking of drummers, do you know? Maybe you met him or know him personally.
Mhm.
Dave Culross.
Eric Culross. He's from Malevolent, right?
Yeah, he was a Malevolent. He was on a bunch of bands. He did a lot of guest shit, but yeah, he was a Malevolent. It's probably what he's most known for.
Yeah.
Or he played drums on Despise the Sun by Suffo. He played. Reason I bring him up is because I was a big fan of a lot of stuff he was in. He was on Hate Plow, the second album, Only Law of Survival, which actually we're doing on. It's never been on vinyl. We have that at press as we speak. His drumming, it's just fucking insane. But he played also on an album by a band called Gorgasm. It was called Bleeding Profusely. And the rumor I heard that the year that came out is supposedly is that when he played in the studio, like the kicks, he used his hands.
See,
Now,
that's
I'm
a
not saying
thing.
that's true. Like I heard, but it kind of doesn't make sense because guys that I know that have worked with him, like that doesn't make any sense. Like I know he can play. He was a hired gun for a lot of live bands, and he played live. So like I don't know why, but I remember hearing that when that album came
I'm
out.
gonna tell you one thing about Dave Culross. That motherfucker is a real motherfucker. That dude can play. I've seen him play with Malevolent Creation, and they slay the fucking crowd, dude. I mean, that's like one of the most powerful fucking lineups. Um,
1,000%,
I've,
yeah, yeah,
he's
exactly.
fucking,
Fine art of murder
there's
and Venom,
no
yeah.
cheat with that dude. He's one of the most deadliest fucking drummers there are. Okay, he used to wear this fucking black vest. I remember fucking. Yeah, I've seen him in Virginia, and they played the show, and the bouncer was beating up all these fucking kids, man, literally. And Jay, the bass player, he's like, he grabs his bass, he's got this Rickenbacker, and he's like, the security, the guy, he's just sitting right in front of him. He's beating everybody up in the pit.
Mm.
Picks up his bass, and his head's like right here, and he's like standing on the stage, and he gets his bass, and he pops pops the guy in the back of the head with his bass, knocks him out. Like
Yeah.
that was brutal as fuck, dude. And Malevolent kept playing. It was about its fucking show I think I ever seen. And Dave played that show. So yeah, dude.
So you didn't know Dave personally.
Yeah, I met him a couple times. I met him a couple times. Yeah, because there
I'm
was one
just kind of
show.
curious. I was a big fan of his work, but dude, it seems like he fell off the face of the planet. Like it's like it seems like everyone I ask, like, what does he do these days? I'm like, there's like, I don't know.
Shit, what does he have to do, man? He's probably shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like
No, I don't know.
he's
I didn't know if
fucking
he's still in the scene. I didn't know if he's in the scene at all. If he's doing any projects, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude. He's conquered so much shit, bro. He's done like so much, right? I mean, you just named a lot of stuff that he's done.
mm.
So he's one of those drummers, dude, that I looked at and I was like, God damn, I got to get better. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, because
Sure.
I saw him at Horror of Horrors played a show, a Malevolent Creation. Um, we're supposed to play too, but Malevolent weren't walking on the stage until they got their money, right?
Yes,
So
sir. Yeah.
they don't fuck around, bro. And so they didn't play. They were like,
Yeah.
pay me first or I ain't playing. Phil don't fuck around.
To be
So
honest with you, I kind of don't disagree with that though, because I've heard some horror stories. Because it's funny, like I said, I do my
you
show,
won't
my
get paid.
fest.
Yeah,
Dude, when
you
I did
won't
my
get paid.
show, like I did my first show, I didn't even think about it. Like when I got there, I just handed each band their envelope of cash. I just thought that's what you're supposed to do. And a couple of them made comments like, "Man, this is fucking sweet." I'm
No,
like, "What?"
yeah.
And I was like, "Isn't that the norm?" They're like, "Fuck, no, it's not the norm." They're like, "You're lucky if you get paid sometimes."
Yeah, we got stiffed on Unholy Ghost got stiffed our first show in Vegas, dude.
Yeah, no, I thought, yeah, I was like, that's yeah, you should get paid when you show up. Now, paid before they get there. I was like, well, what if they don't show up? I was like, but if they're there at the venue, I was like, just pay them before they get on stage. I was like, well, of course, yeah. Like, I kind of think that's the way it should be.
Well, yeah, that does happen. I mean, it's cool that yeah, that's cool you do that because bands appreciate it. We played West Palm Beach about a month ago already. And yeah, man, you know, the promoter paid me like weeks before the show.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that was like one of the first times because you might get like, okay, they'll comp your air tickets or they'll do certain things, promoters will, they do what they can, man, with the money they got, I guess. you
well,
know
dude, if Diabolic or Holy Ghost or whatever they play my show, man, your air tickets are they're already paid. They're paid for. Your hotels are paid for, and you get an envelope of cash before you get on stage. That's how I roll. Just so you know.
no, that's fucking fantastic to hear, man. And you know I can't wait to play again. But like you said, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like, time just goes by and shit, and you just you know, but I think it was like over time, it was just like from the transition into band to band to band, it's just like I wound up, back in Florida, and then Lee was like, "Oh yeah, these guitar players," and I was like, "Oh okay." So they came over to my aunt's house, and my drum set was set up in the back room, and I was practicing every day. And these guys came over, Paul and Rut and Brian, and I think he had like produced like a demo or a drum machine demo with those guys. And I was like, oh, that's cool, But the songs were really long, you know what I'm saying? And they didn't have a name yet. And so I was like, I mean, they had some killer songs. Their songs were
Uh-huh.
like 10-minute long
Yeah.
song,
Okay.
every song, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, bro. I mean, these songs.
Yeah. Right.
And so I was like, after the, Hate Eternal thing, I was just like, okay, that practice didn't go all that great. So, but, I still kept that window open just, in case I get another shot to work with Eric again, cause shit, he just off the domination tour, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Uh-huh.
so, um, uh, like, they came over and saw me practice. They were like, yeah, we want to jam with you. So I was like, all right. They had this house here in Tampa, Paul, Brian, and Rut, and they had the drum, areas set up. They had Marshall stacks, uh, and they had every place in the living room was sealed off with carpet. Okay, so this is how Diabolic like really came together. And like I go over there to this house and I'm like, this is the darkest fucking house I've ever seen in my life. They have this big 100-pound upside down cross on the fire over the fireplace.
Nice. I like it already.
And I'm like, and every place is red carpet on the wall, on the ceiling, on the floor, and all their rooms were soundproofed and had posters everywhere and shit. And I was like, holy fuck, you motherfuckers are evil, dude. Like, you guys are really living this shit, man. You know, and then they had these songs that were fucking badass too. And so my thing was I started learning their songs, and their songs were just I said, so look, I practiced with them like one time or two times, and then I was like, I came back to him and I said, look, I had a Slayer cassette. I said, see this? This is Rain and Blood. You like this album? Yeah, fuck yeah, we like Rain and Blood. I said, look how long this album is. It's 30 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
right. And I said, every song is 2 to 3 minute long songs. Three, maybe 3.5 minute long songs. I said, we need to have 10 songs in 30 minutes. Okay. And that is the goal. I said, I don't care how we have to cut these songs up, whatever the fuck. I said, it's up to you guys. If you don't want to do that, I can't do this. I'm not playing 10 minutes per song. We won't get out. We'll never be able to play a show. We'll open up for somebody and play one or two songs. You know what I'm saying? Play like three.
It's funny you say that too, because dude, I don't understand why a lot of these bands don't see it. And again, it's not that you should be copying or not try to do your own formula, but there's a saying, if you want to be successful, look at somebody who's already done it and do what they did. So the thing is like, dude, look at all the like really successful death metal bands: Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Morbid Angel. When you break it down to a vinyl format, when you're saying 30 minutes, none of them are double albums, meaning they're less than 40. They're 40 minutes or less because they can fit on a single LP. I don't Cannibal Corpse, biggest death metal band, they don't have a single quote unquote double LP, meaning a single album under 40 minutes. I don't think Deicide does either. I'm almost positive they don't. Morbid Angel, maybe Formulas with that. No, I think they're all singles. So it's like if the three biggest death metal bands, Obituary, you look at their early albums, none of them all 40 minutes or under. It's like what?
It's in the
Why would you think like again? Not that you have to use the exact same formula, but it's like I mean, there's a very good chance, buddy. Like that's kind of like what you want to do if you're going to be in this genre.
You want to do it, yeah. And I knew it. I was like, so we started chopping up the songs, right? That they had, and I said, okay, now we just need three of these songs, okay. And we're gonna, we recorded the City of the Dead. We had more songs, right? So and we've been rehearsing them. I moved into the house like the next week or something, and we started chopping up the songs, and we had so much material. So, you know what I'm saying? We had an album like with no problem. We had Supreme Evil written like already. They had so much of it already done. We just needed to, freshen it up with some of my riffs and stuff. So,
It's funny you say it because I'm pulling now because, dude, this came out on Vic Records a couple of years ago, the City of the Dead repress CD. So it came out on vinyl, the City of the Dead repress. The vinyl came out a few years ago, and I was like, oh, sweet, oh, holy shit. I was like, the City of the Dead, I was like, because nobody else was talking about that demo. And then when an LP came, I was like, holy fuck. But then after that, I'm looking at this and I picked it up. It was the repress the CD. And I wanted to ask about that because City of the Dead is June of 1997, but this Vic Records pressing, it has a promo 1998, and it's got another 8 songs on here. Are those the songs you're referring to? Because prior to this repress CD here that I hold in my hands on Vic, when I looked, I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, promo 1998. I was like, I never even heard of this.
Exactly. And that's what we were sending out to all the record labels. We had that. We were sending all those songs to show that City of the Dead was the demo, right? And then at the radio stations, fanzines and all around the world, because I had that ex Mortis mailing list of 5,000 people. So I mean, once the City of the Dead was recorded, I was able to connect right away. I think we were sending like 100 demo, probably like 50 demos a week. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, wow.
Making sure that they were out like in the beginning. And then we started getting mail back from fanzines and doing interviews and stuff like that, tape trading with more and more and more bands. And with that many people that I had to, to send to, it just like we were so far behind. 1996, you're behind, bro. You're supposed to, you should have had City of the Dead out in 1991, 92. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
sorry, man. That's funny you said because that's what I did. I tell people on my channel all the time because I mean, obviously, I look at guys like you. I'm like, oh yeah, those are the guys that were there at the beginning of the early days. I'm like, dude, I'm a newbie. But these kids are like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, dude, my first show was 1998. I was 13 years old. I was like, that's new. I was like, I'm a newbie. They're like, well, dude, I was born in 2005. I'm like, well, I don't know, tell you, man, you're just a little child then. But yeah, I was like, in the all in all, I was like, from my outlook, I was like, I never claimed to be the fucking bee's knees, the fucking king of the scene, the nothing. I was like, I'm a newbie, dude.
Nah, man, and then we had all those songs, man, and it was just like, you know, it was cool because we had all originals, you know what I'm saying? And then we rehearsed them, chopped them up. So we started playing live at the Brass Mug and opening up. We wanted to open up for every national band or any all the bands that we could. And then we got a demo in from Los Angeles from a band called Infamy.
Yeah,
And
everybody, yeah, Blood Shall Flow album, great band.
well, and then their demo,
Mm-hmm.
and so with Jagger, right? So that demo was just so amazing. Here, uh, so the demo, right? So it's Count the Dead, right? So that Count the Dead demo, 1995. Uh, I loved it so much because when you listen to it, it's so unholy, it's so brutal, it's so the leads are awesome, and they're from L.A., right? So
Yeah,
Jagger writes me back, and he's like, let's do a tour, California West Coast tour because we wanted to play California. That was like our whole thing. We're like, okay, we're a new band, but we got to get out of Tampa now. Like somehow we got to get out of here. So New York and California were our main places we had to go, and that's what we did. And so
do you
we
think things like that because it's different now? Do you think back then things like little things like that made a difference? Getting out to those states, like to get your name out there.
absolutely you tape trade with a band, and then Jagger met us at the airport, and then he had our he we played out. We played a backyard party. We played Al's Bar downtown Los Angeles, and then they played. They played in Corona, um, with 6 feet under, and then they said you guys can play the Whiskey a Go Go with 6 feet under. We got that show set up for you, and then we were supposed to play San Juan Obispo, but it was flooded from El Nino, and then
Yo, froze up. Maybe back. But meantime, yeah, I don't know. Let's wait for Antar. He might be having some technical difficulties. But I was gonna get to it too. We were talking about because me and Antar were talking about off camera. Again, this Unholy Ghost, guys, if you don't fucking know it. And I mentioned this, at least I don't remember if I mentioned it on camera or not, but I talked to DAWG about it. What I want to do is this Unholy Ghost on vinyl and CD with that demo I was talking about beginning. So I want to put this on vinyl and CD for the first time. And Antar off camera was telling me that this is a great death metal, I'm telling you. Antar was telling me that he owns all the rights to it and shit, so that shouldn't be a problem. And then also too is Supreme Evil. The first so I know the first three albums, which we were talking before. Supreme Evil, this there's original pressing of this, but it's been out of print forever. So I would like to do this on vinyl on Hells. First 100 on picture disc, of course. Obi strips, a better gatefold, and then Subterranean Magnitude has only been on a picture disc, which I own. Oh, yeah, I was showing, do some show and tell while you're there, Antar. You back? Can you hear me? Okay. Check, check, check. Can you hear me? Can
sorry
you hear
about
me
that.
now?
Back. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, you're
So
good. No, you're good. Don't worry about it. I was just filling them in, like what I was telling them, Antar. Because actually, I wanted to get to it, which hopefully, like my battery. I mean, my battery hasn't flashed yet, but I'm assuming like I said, dude, last night was like really rare time, dude. I haven't woken up past since like 8:39 a.m. in probably about 5 years. Like, it just so happened to land today. Yesterday was a really rare day, so my whole day started off weird. But I definitely wanted to get into it. I was telling them, keep them talking while your
Oh,
shit
cool.
crashed out. I was keeping them talking, but we talked about off camera, but I keep everybody up. I'm an open book with everything because that's just kind of the way with your social media and shit. And people like to be in the loop of behind the
Right.
scenes of company stuff. Is well, ideally, but this is before you and I getting in contact. I talked with my brothers and shit. I would love to do again because see, here's the original Supreme Evil vinyl.
Yeah.
Is I would love for Hells to repress this on vinyl,
Hmm.
do the first 100 copies on a picture disc. There's a lot of stuff we'll do with an outer cover, and the first 100 coming on a 12-inch picture disc. And then Subterranean Magnitude only exists on picture disc, which I have. It's funny because you signed this as well, sitting 2001.
Oh, wow. Check that out. That's cool.
So I would love to do this on vinyl, Subterranean Magnitude, and also Vengeance Ascending, which has never been on vinyl, a CD. At least if it has, you could correct me if I'm wrong. But Vengeance Ascending, I don't think that's come on any vinyl variant whatsoever ever.
Okay. And it's going to be, I mean, Lee
And then
Harrison, you just
and
did
then,
an interview with Lee Harrison the other day, right? So
no, well, like
he owns,
last month. It was a month ago. I did. But yeah,
yeah,
the free.
he owns the rights to Supreme Evil.
Oh, does
Okay.
he? That's so. Lee put this way. What the
We
fuck?
have Conquest Records. Yeah, so we recorded that. Yeah, so so just
Oh,
talk
I
to
already got.
Lee.
I'll talk
And
to Lee. Yes, I'll just text Lee then. Yeah, absolutely.
now Vengeance Ascending, if you want that, that's not, I mean, you just um I'll give you the same, it's gonna be the same people
For Unholy Ghost.
for Unholy Ghost. So
And you're saying they're licensing that,
they're like,
but correct me if I'm wrong, because it's a possibility. I just never seen it. To my knowledge, Vengeance Ascending that's never been on vinyl at all, unless it maybe.
no, yeah, he would, and it's Joe Patagno artwork.
Yep.
Uh, it's and So they said it, Antar, if you know anyone that wants to license it, let us know. And
So they actually asked you that before.
yeah, you have to remember the Century Media office that had all the artwork and all the computer stuff like that. It closed down. It's in Los Angeles. So and then they sold to Sony, right? So that's what happened to Century Media over there. And then so now it's Century Media in Europe, right? So those guys, they have it, and they said they don't have like any of any of the music, or they don't have any of the stuff. They have like they need the artwork and stuff like that. So if you want to press it, like I said, we'll do a CC email right after
Yeah,
this interview, and then I'll let them know that you're interested, and then you
100%. Yeah.
set that up. I mean, it's really simple.
So Vengeance Ascending and the Unholy Ghost album would both be through them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So honestly, probably on both those Vengeance and Unholy Ghosts, it'd probably be best if we press those on LP and CD because the CDs got those. Dude, Hell's Headbangers has never even had Unholy Ghost CDs in stock. Not that we're the bee's knees or be all end all, but whether you know this or not, Hell's Headbangers is the world's largest online metal store. We have more titles than anyone in the entire world. That's a fact. Trust me, if you search anyone, there's nobody that has a bigger distro store
In
than
your
us.
catalog, it's pretty fucking over the top, man. I
We
mean,
have over
like,
60,000 titles in stock. Titles 60,000.
I was like, I know that, you know, like, I don't know. I just didn't know that I just didn't know to contact you. I didn't know until, Gene, I seen a lot of your stuff, and I just, when I got the new Diabolic, when I got the new, when I finished the new Diabolic album, I put it out I put it out on CD Baby. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? I
okay.
didn't, I didn't wait because, um, it's just I get sick of shopping a record around over the years. It's just like, why do I have to shop a record around when I could put it out and it'll be on all digital platforms in in an hour?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean that mindset is not asinine these days because it's a totally different time now.
Right. We never had anything like CD Baby back then. And then you see
Right.
your royalties, you can log on, you can see that. And that's the digital stuff that I want to make sure that I keep, because it's like, why? why just give it away to a label when you know, especially if I recorded the record. You know, if you record the record and you give me the money, that's different. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, 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 yeah. Of course, yeah, 100%.
I mean, I'm totally down, you know, either way. I'm like, hey, if I don't have to record the record and you want to do all the work, great. You know, either way. But late, you know, for the last album, you know, Chaos and Hell and the Blastmasters album, I recorded that myself. So, you know, but with the
So
Unholy,
you're selling all that stuff. So, but you're selling all that stuff then at the moment.
right, and then
Well, so
Holy
then
Ghost,
answer. Do this then. When we
uh-huh.
get off here, because I don't have your email, I just have your text. But I gave you my email. Email me with all this info and send me all links and shit. I'm gonna put them in the description box of this video so that way people can check it. Because to be honest, dude, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, dude. Even myself, I need to check out those later albums because even me, I'm on the loop. It's again like some band. Well, you fall off. I'm sorry, there's bands like yourself that you're a fan of the early shit and you just
Uh-huh.
fall off. You just get out of you just kind of forget. It's one of those things. So these newer what and the big reason for you guys why I fell off is because again on that After Vengeance, the album after that, I forget what it's called, the fourth album, After Vengeance Ascending, the one you're not on, the one you and Paul definitely aren't on,
Oh yeah, the Snake album,
snaky one, yeah, the snake, yeah,
Infinity,
yeah, yes. So once that came out and the lineup was totally different, I'm just like, it's okay. And I just stopped checking shit out because I just assume that everything's like you just fall off. You know what I mean? So even myself, after Vengeance Ascending, dude, I'm out of the fucking loop. So send those links over. So that way, because everybody
yeah,
that's watching this video, I'm telling you, I know for a fact that I have fans and stuff that watch it. They're like, hell yeah, I want to check this shit out because I've talked about Diabolic at least 3 or 4 times on the channel the past 5 years because somebody asked about him, about Diabolic up, and I was just funny because especially when I first started this channel, I was just like, what do you mean, like you don't know about him? Like, where you been, poser? I was like, dude, if you listen to bands like Morbid Angel and Deicide and Evil Death Metal, I was like, to me, I was like, that's just you listen to bands like Diabolic and Angel Corpse and Chrissy, I'm like, to me, it's common sense. I'm like, wait, you don't, but you forget, dude. Like, there's these 17-year-olds getting into the scene and shit, and they know about Tomb Mold and 200 Stab Wounds and all these new kid bands. I'm like, oh, you don't know about the classics? Like, oh,
right.
so we gotta let them know. Like they just, I forget sometimes. I'm like, because again, like I told you, Antar, I consider myself a newbie. To me, I'm the kid in the scene, but now I'm 41 years old, and you forget, and like, no, you're actually kind of in the grandpa status of the scene, like, because there's all these 17 to 20-year-olds, and they just don't know, like the shit that I just showed on camera that and our photo together, signed in 2001. Literally, they weren't even alive, and I'm like, oh fuck, all right, yeah, I guess I forget.
Yeah, time flies, man. That's true. You're absolutely right. I mean, I've been playing this music since I was 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. I'm 54 years old now. And it's just, you know, you have generations that, of people, that come and go and,
Yeah,
people, um, and, there's a lot of new bands and a lot, but it's not the same, these kids have never seen, Slayer live. You know what I'm saying? They never
no, yeah, no.
like um Dark Angel, and they just never seen the stuff that I've seen. You know what I'm saying? So I'm this older, and so my music's gonna come out.
Do you think, got a random question for you, Antar. Do you think the year 2021, 2021, so 5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
in your mind, when you hear that, do you think that was a long time ago?
Not really. I mean, because that was like that was our last album was on 2020. You know what I'm saying?
So if somebody tells you this, if you bump into somebody and if
Mhm.
you ask them like, hey, when did you start going to shows? And they kind of do this, like they snuff you off. They're like, long time ago. And if you're like, oh, okay, like what year are we talking? Like 5 years ago. Would you be like, what the fuck? That's not a long time at all. Is that what you would be thinking, or am I incorrect on thinking that?
Yeah, dude, it's so funny. My daughter, she said, Dad, I'm 11 years old. And these people, da, 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 I'm old enough to, don't they know I'm 11 years old? And it's just like, listen, it's just
Yeah,
so to hear her say that, you know what I'm saying?
because that's an
But
11 years old. That's an
but
entire lifetime
it's
for
like,
her.
yeah, she thinks it's like, man, I'm old. She's been through a lot in 11 years. I get it, but
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it just sounds funny. But yeah, man, that is funny. I mean, when you're older, you know what I'm saying. You really you see a lot more over time. That's for sure. But yeah, that'll. I mean, as time flies, man, and I think those um, early bands are really good influence, really great influence. And like I said, I'm really fortunate to actually have gone out on tour with, Cannibal Corpse. I mean, that was like the biggest opportunity that there was ever, because still, you know, um, you know, guys like you come up, you're like, yeah, I saw you guys on that tour, and we played to so many people those nights, and that's just that that opportunity changed, our complete trajectory, like from being a local band, garage band, Diabolic, it had just been a local Tampa, Florida garage band. But if it wasn't for Paul and Cannibal Corpse guys, I already knew George, right, from a long time ago, when I was a kid, but then
Yeah,
all of a sudden now he's in Cannibal Corpse. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? When did that
yeah.
happen? I'm like, and then next thing you know, like, we're playing a lot of shows and stuff, and then I get a call, just like to meet Paul down at the Cannibal Warehouse. It was like, I think it was like I was at work one day, and I worked like literally 2 blocks from the Cannibal practice.
Okay.
So I drove over, and Paul's like, yeah, man, we want you, Diabolic, Hate Eternal, God to Throne, and and us. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And that was like, the biggest opportunity. And then, you know, we kept touring. We did as much as we could, and then 9/11 hit. When 9/11 hit, that changed everything, because I mean, the world literally changed. You know
Mhm.
and when you're trying to tour constantly and be a band, and then still have to go home and then pay your bills, like, when the tour's over, where are you going to go? You know what I mean? Like, you got to still go home and work. Are you going to have an apartment? Is your girl going to be there? You know what I'm saying? No.
Is
You're
there kind of like almost like a depression that comes with it? Like there's a say like in sports and shit like that when the game's over, there's almost like that lump time where you're like, oh fuck, like when you have a big high like that, you just did a big tour, and let's say it
nothing.
went well, and when you get home, you just kind of like this sucks, like I'm going back to everyday life.
Well, when you get back, it's just like, yeah, it's really it's hard for me to get. It was hard for me to just like go out, man, because it's like, dude, after you've been to a bar, a killer club, a different amazing club every night, or a killer fucking theater every night, yeah, nothing that changes your life forever. You can
Okay.
go, you're never the same person after that. It changes you. And you know, fuck, man, it affects people, man. You can go into a deep depression, bro. Um,
Yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah, if
if
you
you
come back and you got to get just a normal day job or back to a day
you
like
get
you're like this fucking sucks.
and your boss, you got all these policies, and you get told what to do, and like, when you're on tour, you show up at the club, you get food, they give you money, you get a buyout for the day, you got your lunch,
Yeah.
and you can relax. There's no stress. All you have to do is play a 30-minute set at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like, fuck, and then hang out with people, all, and get free beer. You get
Uh,
free fucking beer. So it's like you get a free case of beer a night. I would take the beer. That we had so much free beer after every show, that I would take the beer, and because beer is your biggest competition. Okay, if you're a band, okay, it's the
okay.
beer. What are they gonna buy, your shirt, or are they gonna buy a beer? That is your biggest competition, I think. Not in
Okay.
the band booth, okay. It's always the alcohol. Okay, so because what, alcohol is like $10 for a beer, right? Back then it was probably like $5 for a cup, right?
Yeah.
But that $5, man, it's just like, you got to spend gas, you got to get into the show, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then fuck, man, how are you gonna buy merch from every single band if you're fucking? So what I would do is, I'd be like, all right, I would take the beer that I had, and I'd be like, hey man, you got Diabolic? You got Diabolic CD? Nah, man, I don't got any money for that, because I said, well, I've only got like $5 for a beer or whatever like that. I'd be like, okay, look, if I'll give you a beer and you a beer, $5 each. I'll give you a Diabolic CD. Okay. I give you 2 beers each because I got beer. Okay.
Yeah, so you got a side hustle going on.
I trade the beers for, I give them beer and then they give
They
me
got to
money.
buy a Diabolic CD.
Right. But
That's actually, dude, I've never heard another band say that. That's actually extremely smart.
that's a way to go because and then after that, you go out in the back, there's kids that can't even get in. Right. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, dude, what are you talking? It's like, look, dude, whatever I could do if I couldn't get them in, I would still make sure they got a demo,
Mm-hmm.
make sure, oh man, make sure they got some music to listen to. Because there'd be like 5, 6 kids in a car that come, and then they don't have any money. They have tickets, but they don't have any money to buy shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Or they have just enough money to buy a beer,
yeah.
enough money to buy a couple beers, and I'll make sure that they get beers if they buy, use that money to buy a CD, and then that money, because we had sound scans. You have to send those scans in every night, to Olympic Records. They want to see those sound scans. Like every CD that you sold that day, you have to send back then it was a fax machine. We had to fax all that shit, back to Olympic Records every night,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to show our sales, because they invested in the band. So, and we're doing pretty good. I mean, we're selling every night. So, but that's what I learned how to do. I think it was fun to do that because, um, like I said, beer's so expensive. It could be like $10 for a fucking beer. I'm like, $10 for beer. I was like, here's $10 right here. I was like, how much money you got? You got 20, $30. Yeah, you guys want just, that's your beer money, right? And then just trade it
Funny
out.
because yeah, that is smart as hell. And the thing is because me and my brothers, it's weird. Like when you met us, we were kind of like the opposite of that. Because dude, we didn't drink at all. And dude, I've had a job since I was 13, but I forget that's not the norm. So like the reason I worked always so young was so that we could go to shows and buy merch for myself. Because like again, remember I told like I just showed you, dude. The first time I saw you, that's where I bought City of the Dead and the Supreme Evil CD. Bought it there, like we're at the show. Like that was our thing, dude. Like when we were kids, you went and you watched the band. Now, generally speaking, the headlining band, you already knew you owned their stuff. So we bring our stuff out and have them get it signed and get photos with the bands. But the opening bands that you didn't know, because this is again for the kids watching, there was no YouTube, there was no Spotify. You couldn't just check it out. You heard the
Uh,
band by watching them live. And then
yeah.
if you liked them, you went over to their stand and you bought basically everything. You bought a shirt, you bought a CD, you bought a vinyl, whatever they had. And that's why I've always had a job since I was a kid. So that way I could afford to do that because, and dude, I didn't start drinking. I didn't have my first beer until I was like 21, 22 years old. I just had no interest. I was always just interested in the music. And then, when I was 16, because my two brothers, they're a little bit older, they're 2 years older. We started Hell's Headbangers just because we were already buying all this merch and we just liked the music. It was like just do it. You know what I mean? Because we weren't into all the partying and stuff like that, but most of them are. So I
Yeah.
always I always preach you guys like you got to have that side. So if you got a side hustle, dude, like that, I
Yeah.
teach everybody. I was like, no matter where you're at, dude, even if you're at, dude, when I worked at Burger King and shit, I don't really want to get into it. I had a side hustle at Burger King, man. I was like, whatever your environment is, you always got to have that side, like that mindset, in my opinion.
Yeah. On tour, that's how I had to do it, man. Because I was like, I mean, your biggest competition is alcohol in the bar.
Thousand percent. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, there's people spending like 20, 30, $40 at the bar, bro. More than that,
Yep.
they'll spend $100 at the bar.
Oh, some will for sure. Especially if they're there with their girl. If they're buying their girl drinks, fucking easy, $100.
So you gotta play a killer show.
Yeah.
Your music's gotta, stand out. And you can't, you gotta be able to play, we're that's why we're lucky to, get with the Christmas Metal Maniacs ball tour, uh, did a tour with Amon Amarth. We did a tour with like, you know, Macabre, Macabre, and Enslaved. You ever been Enslaved? They were we toured with Macabre, Enslaved, and
What year was that? Did that come through Cleveland? I don't recall because I like every Macabre record. Like that's a band I'm a huge fan of. Hell, I got a Macabre fucking tattoo. Um, I don't recall Diabolic and like was that what year was that?
it was a Metal Maniacs Christmas ball. You can look it up online too.
It was a tour or just a one-off show?
No, it was a tour.
Did you come to Cleveland?
Yeah, it was Metal Maniac Christmas Ball Tour 2001. And it was we played the Trocadero, we played Philly, we played Brooklyn, North Six, Jared's in Massachusetts, Springfield, Virginia, Jax, Cleveland, Ohio. We played Peabody's on December 10th.
Oh, well, dude, then no, no. Okay, here's the thing. Kind of like you were saying early, I was 100% there because number one, that's where I remember I told you I saw you early. I'm pretty sure that photo that we have together was at Peabody's. But
Okay,
the
so
thing is like, dude, so
you
because
saw
I've
us.
seen it, because I have seen Enslaved and I've seen Macabre many times. I never recall you guys playing with, like, I don't recall that package, Enslaved, Macabre, and Diabolic. But like we were saying, like with the Dark Angel and the Possessed, you're like, who else on it? Like, dude, when people ask me about a lot of my shit, like releases we put out and shows, part of it is like it's like cool going down memory lane, but some of it's like, dude, it's just one big blur. Like I don't.
Sure. Right. Yeah, that's probably the show because of skull culture. Okay, they're more like a psychedelic kind of like a band. It's like you got to hear 'em, man. And then and then it was Diabolic. We played second, and then Electric Wizard. Okay, that's like Electric Wizard.
Yeah, yeah, I know who they are. Yeah, yeah.
Macabre, and then Enslaved. That was when we played. Yeah, that's where we played Peabody's. Uh,
That would have been one of the last because Peabody's was torn down then a few years after that, maybe another 6 years or
oh
so.
wow,
Yeah,
wow.
it's been gone forever now. But yeah, because I've seen you guys at the Flying Machine, the Agora, and Peabody's for sure. Those three clubs. I think I seen you twice at the Flying Machine. One of them was with Cannibal, and then I think you guys came there again, and I forget who, but it was a smaller tour. I know that's. But twice at the Flying Machine. That's tore down too. I haven't been there in over 20 years. They have the Peabody's and the Agora was the Agora would have been with Dave Eborger is when I seen you guys then.
Yeah, dude, and
Yeah.
that was brutal. Um,
Well, so like those tours that you're saying, like especially like the really really big ones like Cannibal and Damien, going back to merch back then. So you guys are an opening band, a newer band, and you're playing with these bigger bands.
right.
How was merch sales for you guys back then? Like when you guys got done playing, did fans take well and you sold well, or was it shitty back then? Like how would it have been back then?
Yeah, we sold out. I think after the first. I mean, shit. I mean, it was a pretty big merch order. Um, we went through Giant, I think, to get our merch, and because they were the only ones that could do all the Supreme Evil colors. There's a lot of colors in the Supreme Evil
Oh,
album.
dude, I had one of those the tour shirts. Dude, those shirts were amazing.
Yeah, and so um, we invested. We had to spend like $5,000 on merch to for that to get ready for that show. Get ready for that because that was a big tour, and
Is
yeah,
that the dude? It's
we
funny
did.
because actually I forgot all about this. Actually, you and I did talk to email maybe 2 years ago or so because I have a repress of that because I had the original tour shirts, but I forget you sent me the link. I asked about Hell's Headbangers pressing. Shit, we did talk. I forgot, dude. Even I again, this shit's a blur. You said this I forget the name of the place. They did Lord Gore shirts and shit like that. I got there too. But like this place is doing Diabolic shirts, and you sent me the link. I even bought one because I have a repress of the
Mhm.
Diabolic Supreme. I've worn it on the channel multiple times. I mean, people go, watch my goddamn back catalog. I'm wearing the
Yeah,
Diabolic. It's the repress of the Supreme Evil, but it's got the tour dates from that 2000 tour.
right.
And
I
but
got
you sent me
signed.
the links like these guys are already doing them. But I already
Yeah,
forgot. Yeah, but
yeah. I
so fuck.
sent
So
them.
technically, I do have your email somewhere because I don't know how the fuck I got it then.
Nah,
But I
yeah,
forgot I even had the goddamn email to fucking email you to do this stuff because I've been trying to track you down for a month or so, and I didn't have. I thought I didn't have your dude. Yeah, again, talking to so many people and doing this for so long, I fucking forget. I forgot all about that. You just reminded me of that.
yeah. I had them repressed because like this guy from Canada, he's just like, yeah, let's you want to do shirts, and I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do shirts. Can And so I found all the dates and I sent him all the dates to
Yeah,
make sure he put all the dates on the back of those albums because that was a special time.
yeah.
So I made sure that those dates went on the back of those shirts. So those are still available. Um, and
Yeah, they're from Canada. That's right. It's a guy from Canada, but he has a bunch of bands on there. But Diabolic, I think he's got like at least 10 bands, but Diabolic is one of them that he has. What's the place called again? I forget what I don't even remember what it's called.
man, hold on, I'm gonna find it. Hold on.
Yeah, but a place in Canada. And yeah, so if anybody finds it, you could. I ordered from them a couple of years. They like no problem getting my shit.
I'll make sure that I'll send the link over because there's this like we have a lot of I have a lot. I'm going through a few different there's a few different options. Like for the Unholy Ghost stuff, I've got that going through this one company, but here it is right here for the this is for
That sounds
twistedmerch.com.
about right. Yeah,
So
okay.
Diabolic twistedmerch.com. They do a bunch of killer bands and their merchandise is fucking it's like superior.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
I can vouch for it. I got it. Yeah.
do all the fucking long sleeves, they do whatever, and they got those Supreme Evil shirts
Yep.
with the tour dates. Like
Yeah.
so,
That was that. So people know that was like that's the tour that I first heard and saw Diabolic was that tour.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, and
So like
then
yeah, it's just things like that, dude. Think we would have thought that 26 years later, things like this are coming to fruition. Realistically, stem from that.
right, just never giving up. It's like it's like I just never wanted it. That's if you know if you stop, man, and you might you just can't. I just don't. I don't. I put too much work into the band. So you know, it's
Yeah, most people, like you said, dude, most people what it is, because it's just like us with Hells. Like when some people ask us, like, dude, it's just we just did it every day and never stopped. Because most people with everything in life, they just quit. Hell, even with the metal scene in general, just as a fan perspective, you've seen it. Like how many people have fallen out, and you're like, no idea, they're not even into this no more.
yeah, bro. And I've got the Unholy Ghost on merch too. I got that.
Who's
So
doing that? Who's done the Holy Ghost? Like who's doing that?
it's another company I have here. Here, one second. It's it's really cool because uh they make backpacks. Okay. Here it's a company. I'll send you the link here. Hold on.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, called print. It's called Printful. That's
It sounds familiar. I think I've heard of it. I've never dealt with them, but not to my, I mean, not me personally, anyways.
right. So it's diabolic.printful.com, something like that, right? And I'll send you the link. But
Well,
we
what's the
got
reason since you're still doing like you have the ownership of Holy Ghost stuff like that? Like, why did you like? Why was it so short lived?
well, and Holy Ghost. So it's just like, I mean, that was like, I mean, that's what since they Century Media is sold over to Sony.
No, but I mean,
And
like, why did you not like do any more recordings with the band, like under that name?
under that name because we had fallen out somehow, and I went over to I went I did the Blastmasters, and then I got the name Diabolic back because Brian did he said
Okay,
oh
okay.
yeah, so if you're not using the name and you don't have a lineup, then you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the same, and realistic at the end of the day, dude, it is kind of all the same band. Like it's the same genre. It's not like one thing's a black metal project, one's a death metal, one's a heavy metal.
No, it should have never been named Unholy Ghost in the first place. It should have been Diabolic, and I should have
Yeah,
never picked
yeah,
out
it's
of
exactly because it's the same. It's literally the same shit.
I came up with the fucking name, and then I get, oh, we're gonna kick you out of the band. Same thing with Unholy Ghost. Oh, we're gonna kick you out of the band. I'm like, that's okay. We'll see what happens with that. And so, all these years later, it all goes back to Diabolic. You
Do you
know,
think any of those guys, the guys that quote unquote kicked you out of the band, let's just say that they see this video, because there's a very good chance they will, because somebody will tell them or they'll hear about it. Like a lot of stuff when whatever the hell, if they see it, like what do you think their take on you were kicked out of the band? What do you think they think? Like, oh, that's not what happened, or yeah, I did because of X. Like, what do you think their take on that would be?
I think we were kids, I think like, you get into arguments, you drink and you get drunk and you get into fights and you're in a band and it's just like stupid band shit, man.
Yeah.
Like really immature shit. You get mad about the stupidest shit. You're on top of the fucking world. All we got to do is work together, you know, and it doesn't, it could be anything, man. It could be fucking anything. So
Okay.
like, you just never know, man. And, for me, it was just like, I just kept going. I was like, here we go again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, here
Yeah.
we go again. Nobody's in a big tour bus. Nobody's getting ahead here,
Yeah.
by kicking me out of the fucking band.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're
Well,
drunk.
clearly it didn't go after you're out. It's not like it progressed or went anywhere.
No, you can't. I mean, the Unholy Ghost drums, trying to find somebody to do that. Good luck. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Good luck. Because I put a lot of, there's a lot of double bass drum and a lot of black. Maybe some guy could do it, if, but the drumming is on a level where it's not easy to fucking play. Like,
Sure.
and and to get somebody in to just try to do it, it's not that they just couldn't do what I could do. The drummers couldn't do what I could do, and
Mm.
fucking listen to the difference between Subterranean Magnitude and the Snake album, the Diabolic Snake album. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you said, that kind of lost your interest, right? It wasn't
100%.
so. I mean, having the super fast double bass drums, the blast beat, and the skink
Mm.
beat,
Mm.
having those three elements, and slow breakdowns in the song, having that structure is a winning formula, right?
Mm.
It's gonna and that's the most important thing, because my favorite bands are gonna always be, you know, it's gonna be always gonna be, you know, Terrorizer, Slayer, Morbid Angel. But don't forget, before all that, it's going to be Pleasure to Kill. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
It's going to be Creator Pleasure to Kill. When you listen to that album, that sets a direction for a drummer that's like, for me, that, and then I just, take those elements. You can't, not every kid has, not every drummer has those influences. Okay.
Sure.
To put into, into music, not every drummer out there has even heard those albums, what I'm
Mm.
saying. And when you have the backgrounds of listening to the different albums and hanging out with different drummers, like, you know Dave Culross, and Derek Roddy, uh Lee Harrison, I mean,
Mm.
Pete Sandoval, when those guys are walking around the club hanging out drinking beers, that's a whole nother thing, bro. Like, that's how I grew up. I grew up around some dangerous fucking drummers. You know what I'm saying?
Do those guys ever have like a kind of like an ego competition, like unsaid? Like, did it ever come across that way to where like, hey, I'm a better drummer than you type of deal, like chip on their shoulder, or you never got that vibe at all, or?
Well, I just felt like I held my own. You know what I'm saying? So I never
No, 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 I'm
felt.
not saying maybe amongst you. I'm talking about like maybe Dave Coolross against Steve Asheem or Steve against Pete or like or Lee Harrison. Like did you I'm talking about like any of
You're
these names, did you any of them like kind of did that ever cross your mind that they walked around thinking that?
never, man. I mean,
Okay.
shit. When I was, I mean, when I was hanging out with Deicide, I mean, it's like Deicide was Deicide or Deicide Legion, and fucking, I met Steve back then, man, and fucking dude, he's a monster. He's one of the most dangerous drummers on the fucking planet. I think what Deicide was probably platinum and shit by the time Diabolic started. You
Oh,
know what I'm
probably. Yeah, probably by that point,
saying?
probably. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
just like, just I just, man, just it just makes you a better drummer when you're hanging out with the best. You're gonna be better.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, of course.
If you surround yourself with the best, that's gonna bring the best out of you.
That's
And
what I tell Jay. That's a segment of this channel because I talk about non-metal stuff too. I just talk about whatever. Keep in mind, I do a video every single fucking day, so all kinds of shit gets talked about. And I try to promote to these kids and stuff. I'm like, dude, don't hang around losers. Don't hang around jackasses. I was like, you hang around yo-yos, you become a fucking yo-yo. I was like, hang around successful people, people with
uh,
strong mental mindset. I was like, do not hang around jank ass fucking jokers. Dude, when I have if I sense somebody's a complete loser or they're bringing me down, they bring their doom and gloom, toxic negativity, I want you fucking nowhere near my life. Just get the fuck out. Pack your bags and get out.
It's gonna, yeah, it'll just bring you down. And
1,000%, 100%
I,
will.
bullshit. I would do everything I could. I mean, to hang out with. I go over to Trey's house and play video games and learn from him. Listen to what he's got to say. Like I'd be like, I bring him like every City of the Dead demo. Like we had a couple City of the Dead, tapes and stuff. And, the recordings were all terrible. And he would every time I'd go back, take it back. That's fucked up. That's not even on the red. That's not in the middle. See, this is supposed to be right here. The needle is supposed to be right here in the middle, and the sound wasn't even loud enough, so he couldn't even hear it. And so, I was like, fuck. And over time, you just learn from people, just getting a good production. I wanted to like that was like the biggest thing, being able to afford to record this music. That you gotta have the money to do that, and it could. I was lucky to, City of the Dead, we recorded over at Lee's house.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Because Rob was living over there. Rob Barrett from, Cannibal, he was a Malevolent thing. I think he was back and forth.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, yep, he was.
Forth, right? So he was living over there. He had this recorder, this 8-track, and he called it Murder Sound Studios. It was an 8-track recorder. So we recorded City of the Dead on that. And actually, that's where we got our Mesa Boogie, amplifiers through Rob, because he knew Mesa, so we got a deal. We were lucky enough to go through Rob Barrett to get us a deal through Mesa to lower the price a little bit, because I mean, fucking $1,500 or however much that amp was is a lot of money, even still back in 1996. I think we got it for like 1,000 or something like that, and delivered to Lee Harrison's house. So that was the sound that we really wanted for City of the Dead. But yeah, I mean, we had to have the dual rectifier sound, and we had to have a good production. And Lee Harrison recorded my drums, and they all worked together to record the guitars, separately. Obviously, they did the drums with me, and then separately. So it came out. We went to More Sound Studio and then mastered it. Okay. We mastered that, and that was what I think it was like $500 just to master that, or more. Probably $1,000 to master City of the Dead.
Okay.
More, like probably like $500 an hour.
Oh, okay. Shit.
Or whatever the mastering was.
Yeah, back then, yeah.
Right around. It was still expensive, you know what I'm saying, for us kids.
We're
working, like we said, you work at Burger King. I think I was working at Lupton's. And I worked at Burger King too, man.
Oh yeah. BK veteran?
Yeah, I'm a total vet there.
Shit, we probably have a bunch of BK stories back and forth there, experiences.
But anyways, so the production was like a big deal. Then we found, doing Supreme Evil, that was just like Gene was in the studio for that, so that was cool. That he's had Angel Corpse out, and so he was like, we needed fucking good artwork. The City of the Dead artwork I came up with. Okay,
I like that too. I think City of the Dead artwork and Supreme Evil are fucking great.
If you look at the Terrorizer album cover or the Carcass album covers, you see how they cut like that. So I came up with the same concept. I was like, well, let's get 2 skulls. I went up to the library over here at USF and got on the Xerox machine, blew up a couple big skulls, and did outs and stuff like that. Put the cities together, and that's one of our biggest selling. That's still being repressed today, for the music and the artwork. But the Supreme Evil was more like, like we didn't have an artist, and so Gene, Paul Bickey from, British and Temple, Angel Corpse, he said, call Joe Patagno. He did our Angel Corpse album. So I called Joe Patagno up, and and I tell him, it's like, what's the name of the record gonna be? And I was just like, I said, Supreme Evil. He goes, I love it. And so he did Supreme Evil for like $500. Now, if you that's Supreme Evil and Excisions of Exorcisms,
Oh
$5,000.
shit.
Okay, same guy.
Yeah. Well, it's supply and demand, dude. Once you get more popular, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the way he's looking at it. He's just like, and that's just
Yeah.
for the album. There's another $5,000 for the art, for the artwork.
Yeah, I could to justify $5,000 for album art. That's a tough pill to swallow. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's $5,000 for the album, but then another five if you want the JPEG for the shirt.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what Deathgasm took care. Deathgasm invested. You
Yeah.
know, and Excision, for the Excisions of Exorcism out, because Joe Patagno, he did Motorhead. He's done a lot of work, man. A lot of bands, bro. Crisian.
Yeah.
So, but having that name is very important. And that artwork is, I mean, so like you were asking, how do we do on merch? I mean, I think we probably pulling like $2,000 a night.
Back then?
Yeah, for the Cannibal tour.
Yeah, but dude, $2,000 a night for an underground band nowadays is considered really good. Back then, that's really fucking good.
But then you have to cash out to the venue.
Yeah, they take a percentage.
10, 20% at the top.
Yeah.
So
that does, dude. That makes my dick. I'm not gonna lie, that makes my dick itch because that's just wrong. Like, you know what I mean? That's like I don't think they should be allowed to do that because the venue. It's like no, dude. You're a fucking bar. We're the talents. We put butts in buckets, and you sell alcohol. Because if we weren't putting butts in buckets, guess what? You got no butts drinking alcohol, buddy. You're gonna have your 3 or 4 local fucking douche canoes sitting there drinking at the goddamn bar. Now the bands bring in, if you're a good band, several hundred people. Dude, don't even get me started on venues and shit like that. That pisses me off because that is, I don't know, man. To me, it was wrong.
that was a part of the business, man, that we learned, man, and we learned quick, bro. You got to they're going to count in all your merch. They're going to count in all your
Yeah,
merch.
100%. And yeah,
out too. So you learn. You're like, man, fuck. There's you got to stick. And the music. It's just like we're. I'm just glad we had a set list that was so brutal that you know what I'm saying. Because when you open up, man, kids are hungry. They want to see something. You know what I'm saying. We got
1,000%. Yeah.
The crowd ready. You know what I'm saying. Get the crowd, ready, and for the open, for the big, for the headline.
Yeah, 100%. Again, yeah, but it's different nowadays. Like all the kids watching this right now, they don't understand because, again, they already heard all the band. They YouTubed them already. Back then, you didn't know. You didn't know what the fuck. You literally had to be. Dude, I specifically remember, like, for example, Divine Empire, which we put out there, Redemption on vinyl. I'm a big fan of that first Divine Empire album. I like the second one too, but they opened up for Emperor in 1999. I had no idea who Divine Empire was. Never heard them. But dude, that was like like you watched them, like kicked your fucking asshole into your stomach.
It was live.
You had no idea what you were going to get.
Nobody heard of us either, man. I mean, it didn't matter City of the Dead albums I put out there, or even like the internet had just come out, and it still didn't matter. Nobody had a fucking computer.
You didn't have access to free audio just like that, like you do nowadays.
Nobody had the fucking internet back on that tour, man. I mean, there was a couple people here and there, but
it's fucking dial up.
Yeah, our music spoke out for itself every single night, and I mean, you really had to be able to play. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it's just like. There's no cheating when it comes to, you know what I'm saying. And when I read reviews and shit like, oh, he's using cheating, triggers and blah blah blah. These fucking stupid reviews. I'm like, man, we when just come see us live, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And playing live there's a couple things about playing live. Okay, you got to remember, you got to have a sound man. You can't just expect that your band's gonna sound like your album.
Oh no, of course, yeah. Could sound like shit.
If you don't invest in your sound man, and that's where we met Punchy. I was just like Punchy was doing, he was doing sound for Morbid Angel, Domination and shit. So that's huge, right? That's massive.
Yeah.
So when I'd ask him to do Diabolic shows, so we fly him up to New York. We're trying to get signed to Eric Records.
Yeah.
So we flew him up there for that. We play with fuck. We played CBGBs. With what's it? The drummer Hellhammer. Well, what's the name of the
Hellhammer from? Are you talking about from Mayhem? The drummer
yeah,
Hellhammer from
yeah,
Mayhem?
we play with Mayhem at CBGBs. We play this badass brutal fucking festival up there with Mayhem and Autopsy. But I don't think it was Autopsy. What's the Chris? He changed the name of the band or some shit.
Talking about Abscess or
yeah, it was, I think he was that. Yeah, when he did that back then, and we just played some really incredible shows. But having Punchy do the sound made all the difference in the world, right? So, I mean, when you're doing a Cannibal tour, it was a little bit different because you had Boz. Boz was doing the sound for Hate Eternal, right? So we had to get in with Boz, and you get 4 tracks, and you fucking, and he would dial us in, man. He dialed us in. So he, did the best he could. So we were really lucky, man, because if you don't have a sound man and you don't pay that guy, you're not gonna, even when we did the last tour, we did a short tour, Visuration Plague with Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal,
right?
yeah.
So even on that tour, shit, I mean, Jarrett Pritchard, he did the sound. And shit, we gladly paid him because I'm gonna tell you, man, you're not. It's not gonna happen for you if you don't have a good sound man. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't really realize. They don't know. How's that band?
Sure, of course.
Why don't they sound good or whatever? If you don't have a good sound man that night, you're not. So that's an important thing. Having a killer sound man. And having Punchy, and then after that, he just wound up, recording our fucking album. He did Subterranean Magnitude. He recorded that, but I trusted him because he had worked with Morbid. You know what I'm saying? On all those tours,
Yeah.
And so, I think I don't know if he did Hate Eternal or not, but I think he did. But either way, man, he's done a phenomenal job, with a lot of different bands over the years. And, it can get very expensive really fucking quick in the studio. You know what I'm saying? And you don't really get tour support anymore. I'm not you don't get tour support, but you don't get recording. It's not like you're gonna get a record deal that's gonna say, hey man, we're gonna give you $5,000 or $10,000 to do a record. That doesn't happen every day anymore.
Generally speaking, no. Yeah, not anymore. Generally speaking, no.
Even so, it's just like you have to take the initiative to front the money to get in the studio, and then after that, you know what I'm saying, license it out, right?
Yeah.
License it out. So like, and then work with guys like you, with no problem. I'm like, hey man, take it. You know what I'm saying? I just I'm pretty easy going when it comes to that. I just want to make sure it's on my Bandcamp page. And it's on CD Baby, but that's it. That's digital sales. So that's no big deal. And then the merch, you still got to buy the artwork. You still got to invest in merch. The artwork, right?
Yeah.
Having a really incredible artist is important. I got really lucky for the artist that we're using. It's really hard to pronounce his name. Okay. For the Mausoleum of the Unholy Ghost album. I want you to check that album out when you get a chance because that's our newest album.
Okay. That was 2020, you said? Like 2021, 2020?
Right. And let me see here.
So that shit, it's been a while, though, since you guys done the record.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, I don't feel like there's a rush, especially, that was like, we did that like in the beginning of COVID. And so right now it was COVID. So like you had like 3 years off. You couldn't really do anything. And then, so to put out something new, now that's 2026. Yeah, it feels right. You know what I'm saying? It feels, and the 8 songs that we already have are just like, they're ready to go. So I'm excited about, getting back in the studio. Punchy's, he's gonna somehow be involved. I mean, he's just like really, he's busy, man. So I just gotta, when he's got a minute, I don't really need that much of his time to get in there and record it. Probably maybe 2 or 3 days. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no. Yeah, Roger, that's actually a good point. Yeah, that takes us up to current times. But there, Antar, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to call it a vid here because I got my 10% battery notice several
Cool.
minutes ago. So I don't want this thing just cutting off in the right in the beginning. But so because I think that's yeah, I don't want just to up. But dude, we've been on over 2.5 hours. So this was definitely a long one. And I know I didn't want to take too much of your time because you said you had somebody coming over for practice or some shit. So
Yeah, he didn't. He had something happen. I guess so he had something going on. So, um, yeah, that frees up my day. So I'm
no,
loving
yeah,
it.
dude, I appreciate your time, but yeah, you have my contact now. So, but send me all those links. We're gonna get in touch about that Unholy Ghost and the all the diabolic stuff. I'll talk to
Yeah,
Lee, but get me on the email and but send me all those links and anything from here on out. You have my number. We could do this again. We could do whatever. If you need anything, you got my contact info now. So now that we're in touch, we're good to
thanks.
go. We're gonna make some things happen, dude.
Oh yeah, that'll be awesome. I mean, that'll be great to do those picture discs. Lee's pretty easy to work with, man. He's pretty fair. So
Yeah, I figured so. No, yeah, and I have his number too. And ever since the interview, we've been in good touch.
yeah, yeah. Just let them know that that's what you want to do, and I'd love to have those picture discs, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, trust me. I mean, I have one. It's
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
thing. Um, but they, playing when we play, live, people love to see them. You know what I mean? Because they love the Subterranean Magnitude shirts.
Yeah.
Love the artwork. The artwork for Subterranean Magnitude. Again, Joe Patagno. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's good talking to you, man.
You too, dude. So yeah, yeah, like I said, you need anything else? You got my number, so we're in contact now.
Fuck yeah, man. I appreciate it. I got to thank Gene
Yeah,
again.
absolutely. Gene put us in contact, dude.
Yeah, yeah, and he lives right down the street, man.
That's what he said. Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Street, man. It's just like yeah. So, um, you know, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible for the future. But good talking to you, man. Thanks for the interview, and keep headbanging and blasphemous speeds, bro. And thanks so
Absolutely.
much for what you do for the scene for death metal. The scene these days, it's just like it really matters, especially for the states. You know, um, I had to sign another, to sign to a label over Europe. Because I just didn't, I didn't get really any response from the labels that I sent to you, but I don't think I sent anything over to you. You know,
Nah, but we're in
I sent
contact now.
anything
So
over to you. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. I'll be sending you some material. I'm glad you want to do the Unholy Ghost, so I'll definitely uh, get you in touch with the guys from Century Media.
fuck yeah, man. I appreciate that.
All right, Justin. Thanks,
All right,
man.
guys. Well, make sure to check out all his stuff in the links in the description box. God damn it,
Have a good day, bro. Have a good
bro.
day.
Later, man.